Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the podcast all about Joshi Pro Wrestling here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Every other Monday, we are with you talking about the biggest news in Joshi, along with show reviews, previews, and much, much more.
So if you're new to Joshi or you've been a longtime fan, this is the show for you. We've got something for everyone here. So check us out, Jumping Bomb Audio.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
What do you guys want to talk about?
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
The cool fans, Rich, cry when Sami Zayn hugs DUI Uso. That's what cool fans do. Cool fans call the Bloodline storyline better than any cinema. That's what the cool fans are doing. It's us nerds.
Ours virgin nerd dorks, that like the wrestling.
Yeah.
Rich Crage.
And I'm allowed to be a fucking work rate nerd for the G1. I just want them to have great matches and kill themselves. I don't care. It's not my body. I just want to watch great matches.
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening? How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing great. A lot of wrestling this week, and you've talked about a lot of it. So you're gonna, what's 3 more hours, right? What's 3 more? Just add it to the pile.
It. Let's go 4.
Let's do 4. Let's do 5. I'll go all night.
Ernie Banks. Let's play 2.
Let's play 2. You want to do back-to-back flagships tonight?
Okay.
I don't know what we're gonna do for the last 3 hours, but yeah, fuck it. No, I don't need to go to work. Screw that. Quit.
Oh please. You're so full of shit.
I quit. Job stinks.
You're gonna do this show, and you're gonna end the show, and you go, all right, I gotta go to bed. Bye. And you're gonna be off the call. And
well, but if we're doing 2,
seconds,
then you know,
you talk all this shit. Like, yeah, you're not gonna do. You don't want to do back-to-back show. Don't even play that, sir. You have no interest.
I should not lie to our listeners, but I don't know if you approached me, if I got on the call one time and you said, fuck it, let's go 10 hours. I feel like I couldn't, if I truly felt that you were in that mood, if you were in the mood and like, look, Rich, I have a lot to say. I got this, and this. We'll talk about, I would do it. I would do it for you, for the good of the listeners, for you, if I really felt that it was in your heart. So if it's in your heart, let's do
10
it.
10 hours.
You want to do 10 hours? If it's in your heart?
I will say this. I don't know if it's because of conditioning or, from doing 3 hours every week for X amount of years or what. But I really do run out of steam right around that 3 hour mark every time. It's amazing. Not the 2 hour mark, not 2 hours and 45 minutes. Always right around that 3 hour mark is when I run out of steam, I run out of energy, and I'm talking, but my brain is processing the words I'm saying at like 0.75 speed. And I don't know if I'm making coherent points, and I don't know if I'm repeating myself, and it really just needs to end. That always happens right around that 3 hour mark. So I do think that that's probably the sweet spot. The reality is the sweet spot is probably like 2 or 2.5 hours. Because
you can hear it too.
Want to get to the point.
I hear too when I go and edit that our voices are like gone all the time. Like our voices are never gone out. If I go to 1 hour and 48 minutes into the show, we sound fine. We're both pretty high energy usually. Everything sounds fine. We're okay. You might be coughing a little bit. I might be stuffed up a little bit, but it's fine. We're fine. You go and listen to like 2:55, and it's like, all right, Joe. I'm like, I have no voice anymore. You're just like you can definitely tell that you're like, all right, end the show, Rich. We're done, and we got to go. And yeah, it's like the only times that it ever does kind of get back on track is if we do an overrun and we take that little bit of a break. We take that little 4-minute, 5-minute break or whatever. We could do it, and I think we can do that. But like, if it was just hour 3 and we just blew right through it, and we're just moving on to hour 4, it'd be like, all right, this is now. I don't think we could do it. I think we would have to either take a break at some point or whatever. But I say we challenge ourselves one of these days. We do a 24-hour. I think we should just probably do one of these times. Just a telethon of sorts. Yeah, why not?
I mean, I would try it. It would have to be.
We'd have to get some guests on for sure, so we can kind of, lob some questions at them and hope that they can just kind of carry the load for 10 minutes or so to take a quick breather. But I think we could do it.
Yeah, it would have to be very well paced, and you wouldn't be able to burn yourself out early. There'd have to be plenty of off topic, which I think people would want anyway. And yeah, you definitely have to have some guests to take the load off a little. And also, you got to have guests, not just to break it up, but to have something when you're in hour 13, right?
Right.
You have to have something to look forward to. Okay, in 45 minutes, here comes Andrew Rich, right? And it's like you're hitting another benchmark.
Right.
Like
hour 16, Larry Dallas said he would show up. We'll find out if Larry Dallas will actually show up or not. That's exciting. That gets you, that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat until that hour 16.
No doubt about it. But if you're in hour 16 and you're like, oh my God, we have 8 hours to go.
Right. We're drafting every wrestler ever. You know what I mean? We're just like, all right.
Yeah.
round
How are we
80,
fill
Joe,
this
who you
time?
got? You're like,
I don't, and then there's nothing to look forward to that breaks it up. It's, that would be the challenging part. I think if you have plenty of guests and you have plenty of things planned, things to get to. All right, I know in a half hour we're doing this. It keeps you it would help keep the energy, I think, and help keep you going. Someone said 24-hour stream for charity. No, sir.
Yeah,
it would be behind the paywall.
My fucking pocket is with the charity.
That'd be right behind the paywall. Okay.
Right. Our tax bill at the end of the year, that's our charity.
Yes.
Mike Rotunda.
Believe me.
We're paying it through Mike Rotunda, trust me.
Yeah, you guys are getting it all back if you live in America. Trust me. Yeah, but I don't know. I'd give it a shot.
I've always thought like that. Honestly, I would rather do, if we're gonna do like a dumb long thing, I'd rather just go for some ungodly thing. I don't want to just do 5 hours. That's whatever. Like at that point, 12 hours, 24, something like that. We got to go for sure.
Yeah.
Go big.
You gotta bring the wives on at some point to kill an hour. You gotta
right. The boy, get the boy on. He'll have some. Me and the boy can talk about video games for an hour or something. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, get the boy out there to talk about Minecraft and the Ender Dragon, and squeeze a Joe Eats in there, little rich drinks, just whatever you can think of.
The great hits. We got to throw everything out there. The hits have to be on there. We got to review Starrcade 91 again. Just see if anything has changed in the last time that we last discussed Starrcade 91. We can review, what's the ungodly long Joshi show? Dream Slam, right? Is that the one I'm thinking of? About the 9-hour Joshi show? We could just review that. That's been
sitting in my YouTube playlist for years.
That runtime, man.
I'm never watching.
I got it too. The runtime is like 8:59, 80. Like it's like I let me see what it is on my YouTube stream, because I have the exact same one, and I'm always looking at that. Like, why is this in my queue? I'm never gonna watch Dream Slam. I'm just.
It's funny because it's number 1 on my watch later playlist, because it's the last thing left that I haven't watched that I put on there the early. You know what I mean? Like everything else I put on there before that has been watched. And it's been on there for years. And every time I go to my watch later list, part of me hopes that it's gotten pulled from YouTube.
Right, that account has been. So.
And then I can go, darn, I never got around to it. What a shame.
Nuts. Yeah.
Then it's not on me for procrastinating and not watching it. It's someone else's fault that I've never seen.
Yeah, 5/20/11. That's an arduous task there. But I guess if we
Rich, I'm never slapping play.
That's never happening.
It's never happening. Now, I'll go on YouTube pretty much every night before I go to bed just to watch random shit. I probably could have gotten through this show by now, and it's like if I just did it in little pieces, but I'm too busy going, ooh, look at this Bobby Eaton versus Steve Armstrong match from WCW Pro in 19.
It's always a monsoon classic. It's always a monsoon classic. Every single time I ever think, you know what, I'm going to watch this or whatever, I go to Monsoon Classic and I'm like, yeah, Superstars 91. Let's see what we got here. And
absolutely.
I just hit random and I'm like, sure, I'll watch, I'm trying to think of the match that would hook me to say, you know what, I'm going to watch that. It's the dumbest thing you've ever seen. It's some 1992 Superstars Crush versus like...
Or it's like Skinner versus Virgil or something.
Right, why would I watch that? Yeah.
No, but you're like, ooh, that looks great.
Yeah,
and then
6 minutes and 27 seconds. It had to be pretty good, actually. I wonder what happened there,
You know what the algorithm has been pushing on me for it got to be over a year by now. It's not, I haven't clicked watch later. It's just always when I load up the YouTube, it's the first video sitting there and it's begging me to watch it. Is Andre the Giant versus Strong Kobayashi from like 1979 or something. Ooh. But the file is like 37 minutes long, so it's daunting. So I know the match itself is probably way shorter, but it's like they really want me to watch that. And now it's like a test of wills. I'm like, no, algorithm, you're not watching it.
It's not me.
I'm not gonna watch it. There's a match that popped up last week though that I've had my eye on every night, and I'm waiting for the right time. I'm waiting to have the right snack available. I'm waiting to have the house is, make sure everybody's asleep. It's Dusty Rhodes versus Bobby Eaton for the U.S. title in a cage.
Oh, that's probably a hell of a match.
And and it's only like 13 minutes, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm savoring this. I'm saving this for the right moment.
You want to be in the right spot. You want to be in the right spot for that match.
Gotta be in the right spot. You can't that can't be the kind of thing you slap play on and you're busy on your phone or you're not really paying attention. I want the mood to be right for that Dusty Rhodes U.S. title defense against Bobby Eaton in the cage. It's got to be right for that. So that one I've been saving. But I'm never playing that Joshi show. It's never happened.
There's also the Big Egg Wrestling Universe one that people talked about. That one is 10 hours, 19 minutes, and 35 seconds.
Yeah, you know what? I might have that. Let me pull up. I got to pull up my list now. Let's see.
That's a Roy Lucier upload. So you might have that.
Speaking of Roy Lucier, that Andre Strong Kobayashi, Matt, 45 minutes and 8 seconds.
What is on that video file?
Probably entrances and post-match, and the match might be like 9 minutes long for all I know. You know what I mean? But it's from 1972, by the way. Roy Lucier, I was going to say, he just recently uploaded a bunch of new, previously unseen lucha. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that.
Yeah, I have been seeing that from afar. Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, awesome. I know Rob Viper's been reviewing some of it on his Twitter feed, but I slapped watch later on every one of those when they came up the other day. My watch later list, it's funny because for every video I watch, I save about 6. It's completely untenable. I'm never getting around to everything on this. There's no shot that I'm watching all this stuff. And it just grows and grows and grows. And I keep saying, there's going to be some lazy Sunday.
The winter. I always say the winter is when I'll do that.
Yeah,
it never happens.
It never happens. And it's never going to happen. Just crazy stuff. A couple weeks ago, I don't know if you saw these, but somebody uploaded a bunch of old original Australian World Championship Wrestling. Jim Barnett.
Oh no, I've always been interested in seeing that. I've always been interested. I don't think I've ever watched that. So that's.
If you remind me, I will send you the links.
I will.
They're full length television episodes of Jim Barnett WCW from the 1970s. Those I'm gonna savor. That's you don't get fresher material than that. I've never seen any of that shit.
No.
So, I'm definitely going to dig into that. and the Discord doesn't help because if you go into old school videos,
there's always a great video there's some handheld that you never knew existed of a match you never knew happened that's posted there every single day, and you're like, I want to watch that. I want to watch that.
I'm like, God damn it, I gotta put that on the list, and it's like, no, I'm never gonna get to that shit. But where the list comes in handy is when I'm stumped for match of the week. I know I could just go to my list and be like, all right, this is a good opportunity to knock one of these off for myself. And, and then if it's suitable, I'll just make it the match of the week. But, yeah, you know what? There it is. The 10-hour. I have that one too.
I knew you would have it. I knew you would have it on there. As if you were never going to sit down and go, all right, 10 hours of Joshi. Let's make this happen. Even though that's an era of Joshi that I know that you like a lot more, but the idea of you sitting down with a bowl of popcorn or whatever and going, Big Egg Universe, let's do this.
Yep, that's what it is. The Big Egg Wrestling Universe. Right. November 20, 1994.
A 23-match card.
I think it opens with the two young girls from India in like an exhibition match or something. And that's as far as I got. I don't know what happened to those girls, but they were the shits. Don't get me wrong, but that's as far as I got. I think wasn't Dave Meltzer at that show?
I believe he was. Yes. I think he always tells that famous story that he was there, and it did. I want to say it did something like $2 million in merchandise sales or whatever. He always brings that up when he talks about like events. Like he'll do it during SummerSlam, and I'm sure he'll talk about it during Wembley. Anytime in the Observer there's an event that has like a high gate and high merchandise sales and like dollar per head or whatever, he brings up the Big Egg Wrestling Universe because they had something like $2 million in merch.
Couldn't have $2 million in merch, right?
I think it did. I think
$2 million in merch.
I think it did. I'm telling you, I think it did an insane merch number, and that's why he always brings it up. Because he always brings up the dollar per head or whatever. That it's like, of all the wrestling shows, there was 32,000 people there, and there was, they sold $2 million in merch, so the dollar per head. I'm telling you, at Wembley, when Wembley comes, you wait.
Yeah. So just a random sampling. I've got this penalty box match, Well Done versus the Thrill Seekers from Smoky Mountain. I've got,
that's probably pretty sweet.
No, listen, this is funny. And then I've got Fit Finley and the Pegasus Kid versus Eddie Guerrero and Negro Casas from New Japan.
Okay.
And then I've got the 10-hour All Japan Women Big Egg Wrestling Universe. Yeah. And then I come across this. I forgot that I put this on here. A recipe for easy honey garlic chicken that I want to check out. So, that's that snuck in there somehow. So it looks really good. So
when you're getting ready for the Big Egg Wrestling Universe, you can have it on the background and make that make a meal.
Yeah, the easy honey garlic chicken. You're gonna have to give that a whirl.
Easy honey garlic chicken. Yeah, it seems easy, but I guess I don't know what the recipe is.
It's like a 15-minute recipe. Easy ingredients, stuff you have around the house already, right? No, I hate when you look up a recipe and then you gotta go, I gotta go get peppercorns.
It's some dumb stuff. And the nurse is always like, well, we have to get. I'm like, just use pepper. It's fine. She's like, no. It says like peppercorn. I'm like, no, it's just fine. It's okay.
And you're like, we could just grind some pepper.
It's all right. But no, she's got to go to the letter of the law. It must be exactly as if the recipe's foretold.
Have to have the coriander. You don't.
Sure, it'll still be pretty good. I think I get the basic concept of this recipe. We can just go forward without it, but it doesn't always work that way. I lose that fight a lot. Anyway, that's not why you called. That's not why you're here. This is should be a pretty interesting episode of the Flagship here. We're going to talk about a whole lot of things. We're going to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax. Joe, you are doing daily G1 audio behind our paywall at flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, and voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. So you are doing daily G1 audio. We'll check in a little bit on what's happened, what the standings look like, who's still alive, who's been eliminated, and some of the stuff, some of the matches that we've liked over the last week, and a little bit of kind of the news and notes and stories going around the G1 Climax. We'll do that a little bit later. We'll talk about NXT's ratings, because we have to talk about NXT's ratings, as well as the huge, gigantic NXT premium live event this Sunday, NXT the Great American Bash. I discovered it's not Great American Bash, it's the Great American Bash. So I want to get that right there. NXT, the Great American Bash. We'll touch on a little bit of what's on deck for SummerSlam and SummerSlam weekend. That is actually coming up next weekend, believe it or not, SummerSlam. So we'll talk about what the schedule looks like for SummerSlam as well as the shows around SummerSlam weekend. We'll also talk about what is on deck and also not on deck for All In Wembley, one of the biggest wrestling shows of all time that so far, well, we don't really know anything that's happening on that show just quite yet. But we'll talk a little bit about that and the booking of that and if that's a problem or not, that we don't know anything yet for All In Wembley. But let's start out with first, ROH's Death Before Dishonor. Now, we talked a lot about this last week when we were previewing it, that this is an odd show in the sense that Ring of Honor TV feels very disconnected. You and I are just kind of gone from it. Like, I'm not really watching it week to week anymore, and it's not even something I put on in the background anymore. I've canceled my Honor Club subscription because it's just not something I really feel like is, in all this wrestling world that's going on and all these other things that I have to watch, weekly ROH television, not on the top of the list. And we were looking at this card, and it was kind of thrown together last minute, and everything was booked on the actual Go Home Ring of Honor television show. And we were discussing all that. And then all that happened. And then the show was pretty fucking great. ROH Death Before Dishonor. ROH pay-per-views are now on the level of, NXT takeovers from 2016, 2017, where it's just like, yeah, pretty much guaranteed. You don't bet against it. These shows are going to rock, and I thought Death Before Dishonor was yet another really, really good show, and I guess that also will hopefully lead to, you and I having discussions about what maybe Ring of Honor should be, because we see what works in Ring of Honor and what doesn't work in Ring of Honor, and is there a way to better tailor Ring of Honor to make sure that we accentuate all the positives that this brand actually has, and maybe hide some of the negatives that it has that are leading to the discussions like we had last week about the build and about the TV show and all that sort of stuff. But overall, since I have not talked about it, what do you think of Death Before Dishonor as a show in full?
Oh, it fucking rocked. It was one of the best shows of the year. I mean, it was great. Like every time a match ended, I'm like, is that Notebook? Like, it's just a great show. I mean, even the pre-show with the AR Fox Shane Taylor match, which I thought was a great match. And, some other, Layla Hirsch, Trish Adora kind of stunk, but that was like the only match that wasn't any good on the entire show, pre-show or otherwise. And the other thing about the show was they did a lot of things on this pay-per-view that led to stuff on this week's TV. So it was funny. There was a lot of continuity booking on the ROH pay-per-view that bled into AEW television storylines, which was another nice little touch, I guess. In addition, it wasn't just, okay, here's a bunch of matches that we didn't have any build for, and we're just going to try to wow you with everybody working as hard as possible and having as great as match as they can, which would have been fine. On top of that, it was a show that built to things. It wasn't just a show in a vacuum, which it very easily could have been. So from that standpoint, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I knew it was going to be a good show. I didn't think it was going to be a great show. I didn't think it was going to be a show that at the end of the year, I'm thinking about it when I'm thinking about the best shows of the year. But that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was pretty low on my list. Like, I wasn't around to watch it live, and I was like, you know what? I'll catch it when I catch it, or I'll catch it on like Tuesday or whatever in anticipation of this show, just thinking it was going to be just another show. Like, it's just an okay show. And then hearing the response the night of, and people being like, holy crap, like that was great, and this was great, and seeing the reviews and seeing the ratings and stuff. I ended up watching it on, I was gone for, most of the weekend, but I ended up watching it on Sunday night because I was like, that's the first opportunity I had to sit down. And the second I had any amount of free time, I was like, I got to watch this thing. I have to watch this thing. I can't hold off on this. And I'm so glad I did, because yeah, it was just a tremendous, tremendous show. And these Ring of Honor pay-per-views have been very good. They've been just tremendous. And it makes me, I don't know if I get frustrated, or I don't know exactly what my thought is about this, but it's like, you see a show like this, and Caprice and Ian are just one of the best commentary teams going. I just absolutely love those guys. The chemistry they have, the way they approach the show, it's phenomenal. They just do an incredible job. And Ring of Honor looks cool. Like, aesthetically, it's got a good look. I like the colors. I like the graphics. I just like the production of it. I like a lot of what Ring of Honor brings. And it's like, man, how can I just get more of this, or how can I like this a little bit more? And maybe the answer is just tune in for these pay-per-views because they're going to be really good. And then otherwise, you can look at it from afar, and if somebody likes a match or tells you that a match is good, go check it out on the TV. But essentially, just hang around and wait for one of these pay-per-views to come up and watch that pay-per-view and enjoy it, and then go on with your life. And I guess that, I don't know, does that feel like that's the best way to consume Ring of Honor? Does that feel like a waste of Ring of Honor to you? To just say, well, hang around, and every quarter you're going to get a really good show, and then otherwise just kind of put it in the back of your mind until that next quarter comes around?
Now, right now, that's what it is, because as somebody notes in the chat, they follow up the pay-per-view with a 14-match TV
see, this
show
is what I'm
on Honor
saying.
Club.
Come on.
And it's one of those things where every pay-per-view under Tony Khan has been nothing. The worst one has been good, and most of them have been great. And I do think it's fair and fine. What I have is, and I have people for this with a bunch of different promotions worldwide, but I do have some people who I go to and I say, look, you watch ROH every week. You come to me when there's something I have to watch. And I define have to watch by like 3 3/4 or higher, right? And
or
that
important
person
too,
has,
or probably important too, is, hey, if even if it's not a great match, is this important enough for me to watch? Is there a reason for me to watch this?
Yeah, and they have a good feel for that, so they know what they're doing. And my point here is they haven't come to me, and I couldn't tell you the last time they recommended something to me, is the point. So the Honor Club stuff is completely inessential. Rich, I watch so much wrestling, and it's like, I would love to squeeze in the Honor Club show. I can't. And it's not just because they're 14 matches. It's because it's always inessential, and I have to prioritize other stuff. I just have to, and quite honestly, it hasn't grabbed me. If it grabbed me, it would be something I would prioritize. Rich, I can't prioritize the ROH on Honor Club show over CMLL in this time and place. I can't. The CMLL is hot, and the CMLL is really good. And if I'm going to devote whatever time I have to all this wrestling I'm consuming, and I only have so many hours, it's going to fall behind stuff like that, is my point, because the show is just totally inessential right now. And I'm just going to trust people to nudge me to it when it's something that I have to see, And to be clear, this isn't one of those wrestling media, oh my God, I've got 2 more hours of wrestling to watch rants. That's not what this is. I just literally I can't carve out enough time for this show, and it's just it's so low on my priority list right now that I can't get to it. Now, I'll tell you this. If this was on TV, I'd watch it every week. If they got a TV deal, it automatically shoots up the list, and it becomes must watch, because you got to be on top of that. I think there's a lot of wrestling media people who, for example, AEW gets Collision, okay? And you hear the same refrain from a lot of these people. Oh, I got 2 more hours of wrestling to watch. You know what? Go fuck yourself. It's not breaking rocks. And there's people who consume, and in a lot of cases pay for your content, who are slapping the alarm clock every morning and going to some godforsaken job that they hate. Okay? And you're complaining because you gotta watch Collision on your DVR on Saturday night or Sunday morning. I mean, that I don't understand. Do these people hear themselves sometimes? And some of these are people who I know are doing this full time. You got a lot of fucking nerve, because a lot of the people consuming your content would love to sit home and watch wrestling all day. You know what I mean? And don't think that's not something that is beyond my understanding. I understand that. So I want people to be clear. That's not what I'm saying with ROH. What I'm saying is the ROH show is so inessential to me that it's on the bottom of my pile. And I don't, because of the time, I almost never get to it. And at this point, I'm just about ready to cancel it. I mean, I don't know why I'm paying for it. I never watch it. I look at these lineups and I'm like, nope, I'm trusting my guy to let me know. So, I don't know if that even answered your question.
No, I'm just kind of trying to talk it through, and then we're going to talk about the show, because I do want to praise the show. I just kind of wanted to get the negative out of the way first, and then we can talk about how great the show was. But I don't know where ROH fits in this ecosystem right now. I guess that's the problem. And it was it'd be easier to handwave if they had an inessential television show, and then these big shows were just fine. And it was like, all right, it kind of like ROH was 3-4 years ago, where occasionally we check in on it and then we go, all right, not much going on there, whatever. Or there'd be, a good show here or there every single year. And we'd, say, we'd review it on the show and talk about it. But Ring of Honor wasn't top of mind for us. But the problem is these shows are so fucking good that it's like, man, I want to like this show. I want to love ROH. I want to talk about ROH every single week if we could. And and always check in on this, but I just don't. We can't do that. That's just not what this company is set up for right now. And that
the first couple weeks we tried, and if it would have been an essential show, we'd be watching it every week and talking about it when warranted. I want to ask you this. I'm going to paraphrase, but did you hear Tony in the presser? He mentioned, and I'm talking about the post-show presser, not the whatever, the one the earlier in the not the one before the show, the one after the post-show one. He said something to the effect of Ring of Honor is, and these are not his words, I'm paraphrasing, is for the hardcore nerdy fan. These are going to be boutique pay-per-views where I'm just going to give you action. And I know it's a niche, and he kind of spoke about it in that sort of direction. And I thought that was interesting because, he understands what Dynamite has to be. And without having the same tired conversation we've had for the last month, we all understand what Dynamite is becoming. And it almost has to in this environment. But it's like, I don't think you're ever going to see dance-offs on an ROH pay-per-view or, those kind of things. And he flat out flat out admitted, he goes, ROH is a super hardcore product. And I make sure that that's what I try to make sure that it is. And, I think he has Collision, which is very clearly a more meat and potatoes show than what Dynamite is. And all of these things are different. So I will give them credit for that. They've made all of these shows vastly different from one another. But it does, when he says things like that, it kind of raises your antenna. And it does make you think, oh, yeah, well, what's happening with Dynamite is concerted and deliberate, right? It's like you kind of have to have your flagship show be something for the masses that's going to cast the widest net and attract the largest audience possible. So I know that's kind of going off topic to some degree, but it also explains what his current mindset is with ROH. I think that the Honor Club show, I think it's just a holding pattern, and he's waiting around for WBD to come around and give him a TV slot. And I think that at that point, the show will look a lot different than it does now, which is essentially red and black dark.
How long are you waiting for that, though? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree.
They've
but I mean,
kind of told you they're not interested a lot of times. And I don't know. I get what you're saying, and I understand that that's probably what they're doing with it, but it feels like I don't know. It feels like a losing proposition. It's just there's been no evidence that Warner all they've done is say, hey, how about more AEW? Here's 2 more hours of AEW instead. Because he's had Ring of Honor for a while now, and I said, hey, I can give you this guy, and they've said, let's do Collision on Saturdays. How about that? AEW Collision on Saturdays. Let's do that instead.
And let's do reality shows.
Right? Let's exactly. The reality show too. Let's do that. Hey, you want an extra TV special? Let's do that. Hey, let's do 12 pay-per-views. Let's float that idea eventually, and do like. All they want is more AEW content, but they want no Ring of Honor content, 0 Ring of Honor content. I don't blame them.
All right, well, you are WBD. You are Zaslav or whatever his name is. Okay.
I don't know. Is that good? I don't know if I want to be that guy. Well, I guess he's quite rich. So
what? I'd love to be that way.
I think he's an asshole. I think he's an asshole. But whatever. Well, sure, he's a very rich network executive. Of course, he's an asshole. Yeah.
What do I care?
In my infinity pool. Yeah, if I'm floating in my infinity pool, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, you can think of me whatever you want. Right. Rich, I'm a thousandaire and everybody hates me and I don't care. You think I'd care if I was a billionaire and everybody hated me? Who gives a shit what people think of you? So, anyway, let's say you're WBD, okay? And here's what I don't understand. I don't get this. They keep asking Tony Khan for more AEW product because everything he gives them is a hit, right? Like Collision is, Dynamite is like very often the number one show on Wednesdays. It's been a monster success. Collision is like top 5 every Saturday. Wasn't it number 1 last week or number 2?
Yeah, I believe it was number 1. I believe it was number 1.
Number 2, something like that.
1 or 2. It was 1 or 2. I thought it was 1, but maybe I'm wrong.
That's been a success. Okay. Rampage in its time slot still often wins its time slot or comes in number 2 or 3 in its time slot. The point here is they keep asking him for more AEW content because it's a winner. I don't understand, and this is why I'm putting you in their shoes. If I'm Tony Khan and I come to you and I say, look, I can produce successful pro wrestling and it's successful instantly. Like it's these are all overnight successes by television standards. I have this third brand. It's a separate company. I want to control not only the number 2 company, the challenger brand in pro wrestling, but I also want to have the number 3 because that's a good thing to have in this business. So someone like me can't just show up. Now they have an extra hill to climb over, right? Which is why I think ROH is a smart investment for a number of reasons, but also because now Tony Khan can control the number 2 and number 3 promotion in America, right? And I come to you and I say, I have a proven track record. You love my content. Give me anything. Give me True TV Sundays at 10 a.m. Give me something Saturday at midnight after Collision. Give me something, it doesn't matter. I just want TV time for this other thing that I'm doing. Why do they keep telling him no? I don't understand. You can't tell me that an ROH show isn't going to do better than whatever True TV has going on Sunday at 9 a.m., which I'm sure Tony would take. Because I understand the primetime real estate. There's no more room for wrestling primetime on cable. Every slot is taken up. So if you want primetime, you're going head-to-head with something. And now you're just cutting off your nose to spite your face. It's a waste of time. You're splitting an audience. I get that. I understand why they don't get primetime. And but I'm sure he'd take, or maybe I'm off base. Maybe Tony is insistent on a primetime slot, but I would think that he would take anything.
At this point, you would take
Dishonor
anything.
Club bullshit.
At this point, if they just said, we'll give you $3 to put it on True TV on Fridays, he'd say fine. or like you said, Sunday nights.
I'm putting you in the position of the network. Why aren't they doing this? I don't understand.
I don't know. There's probably, it might simply be a thing of, you got to think of from a network exec standpoint and the fact that it is pro wrestling. And I think there is still a thing that maybe the network, they don't want to be seen as a wrestling network. And with that said, they also keep giving wrestling television. They keep giving wrestling out. I'm sort of being the devil's advocate there of like, if I'm a network exec saying, we don't want to be the wrestling channel. That's too much wrestling on our channel. But then at the same time, we just can't wait to keep giving this guy more content and more hours. So that doesn't make sense. So from that standpoint. So I don't know. It might simply just be that they don't understand the brand. They don't quite get it. And just the fact that they're like, hey, well, we're paying you already. We don't want to pay you to have the minor league version of you on our network as well. And I get that, but
my counter as Tony Khan in this role play would be, let me tell you, when I role play with my wife, it's not as Tony Khan and David Zaslav. I can promise you that. So this is that's an entirely different kind of role play.
Never come up in the roulette of role play.
That's not the role play we do. Believe me. That's the role play I do with you, Rich. No disrespect.
That's fine. No. I'd much rather do that role play with you than whatever other one you do. So
I can name a few.
Please don't.
Okay. So if I'm me as Tony Khan, my comeback is, look, why it's not either or. You're asking me for AEW content, and I'm not saying no, take this instead. I'm saying yes, I'll give you 2 hours on Saturday. We can do Collision, but let's do this too. And I'm sure Tony's not looking to break the bank on that deal either. Let's say ROH had non-primetime TV on WBD's lowest on the rung network, whatever that is. Is it True TV? Let's, for the sake of the argument, say
I'd say yeah, probably. I don't know the whole. Probably True. True would seem to me.
It's not even important. It's just So
insert a network near True TV. Yeah, everybody knows True TV. True TV. You know, think of it.
Let's go
as
with
that
True
way.
TV.
Yeah.
And they've got a 1-hour Ring of Honor show on the weekends, like before noon or something, a morning show,
Yeah.
like, or something in the middle of the fucking night, midnight on True TV on fucking Thursdays or something, whatever the case may be. Even something like that, I believe, would exponentially help sell more pay-per-views. They're doing between 20 and 30,000 pay-per-view buys right now with no TV. And it isn't any surprise that their biggest pay-per-view to date was one of the ones that they were pushing hard on AEW television,
right?
The one that did 37,000 buys. TV is the key. We all know that. All of our listeners are smart enough to understand that. So any TV you get is going to increase your pay-per-view buys, because the only people buying these things now are the dyed-in-the-wool fucking dorks like us and the people listening to this show right now, because they're the only ones that know these pay-per-views exist. You put it on TV and you add, I don't know, if you add 5,000 buys, which is nothing, that's a 25% increase in pay-per-view buys that you're doing now when you're selling 20,000 of these things. So my point here is, I don't even think Tony would hold them over a barrel for any time slot. He would take anything for any, and he wouldn't ask them to back up the Brinks truck for it. So it has to be them. It has to be them, and I don't understand their mindset and why they wouldn't take it. I can't wrap my head around it.
It's probably just a brand that they have no allegiance to, no alliance to, no real, stake in. And I don't mean in terms of like an equity stake. Like, obviously that always comes up about the AEW and Warner possibly having a stake in there. I just think that there's just no stake of, there's nothing there. There's just no allegiance there. AEW is the hot product they took a chance on, that worked out for them, that's been successful for them, that they know that has, a brand that you can sell. It's clearly a successful entertainment brand, AEW. I mean, without question. But like you said, yeah, it's if you're Tony, you got just to say, I'll take pennies on the dollar. I don't care what slot you give me, just give me something. And I'd be perplexed if that they didn't that like you said that Warner wouldn't say, you know what, screw it, yeah, give him Fridays at noon on Discovery ID or whatever, some just ridiculous network or whatever. Like, why wouldn't you do that if you were that? Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I don't know. Somewhere along the line, I don't know if they're asking, or if AEW and Tony or whatever are asking too much, or Warner is just completely a non-starter on this. I have no idea. But that if they've sat in that room and discussed this, that they've been told no, I'm sure numerous times. And I don't get what the bugaboo is, or what's the what's the thing that's stopping this from happening. I don't know.
I would go in the room and say this. I would say, look, and maybe they've attempted this. I'd have Mookie bang up some stats and figure out how many viewers an ROH show can do in all of these different shitty time slots that I'd be willing to take, and then figure out the conversion of how many of those people would then buy pay-per-views, factoring in that a lot of people who are going to watch were already the people like us who are already buying the pay-per-views.
Right. And are buying them on, BR Live is an aspect of that too. And they're obviously they're getting a cut of that too.
Well, and that's where I'm going with this. And then I would figure out how many what percentage of pay-per-view buys I could add by simply being on TV and doing 100,000 viewers a week. Let's be real conservative. And then I would go to WBD, and let's say I factored that I can increase my pay-per-view by 20%, right? I would go to Warner Bros. Discovery and say, I'll give you 8% of my pay-per-view business if you put me on TV, right? Because not only does that incentivize them, but it's like, that also incentivizes them to give you a better time slot at some point. Oh, well, if we increase these pay-per-view buy, you know what I mean? I would do anything just to knock that door down and get that first deal and get on TV. It's baffling to me. Like, someone in the chat is saying, AEW is the brand WBD wants to get behind. No need to add ROH to the mix. Why? What harm does it do? Like, again, I'm not making it either or. I'm not saying take this ROH show or I'm not going to give you any. No, I'll give you all the AEW content you want. This is independent of that. And I'm not asking for, just give me something. Let me in the door with this thing. And the thing is, Tony Khan has a proven track record. So that's the other thing I don't understand. It's not like, everything he gives them works. I don't know. We're probably spending too much time on this, but I don't understand the Warner Brothers Discovery side. I would be jumping at the chance to add more wrestling content from this guy because all it does is work. But I don't know.
Right now, I'd honestly, given the cable TV landscape and the landscape of live sports and all that sort of stuff, I'd probably, if anybody wanted to put live wrestling on any of my networks at any time slot, I'd probably say, yeah, you know what I mean? Especially if the cost is right, which is probably, it probably will be pretty affordable. Like, I'd say, yeah, given where wrestling is right now, and wrestling is obviously nowhere near as hot as it was, obviously in the Attitude Era or any of those other, earlier booms like we talked about last week when people were comparing this to like a new boom period or whatever. Nowhere close, but they do good numbers. They do good numbers. You can get good ad buys on them now. You can get a lot of live viewers and viewers that are locked in and watching the entire show. And that is just crucially important now as we're on the final, the real dying days of the cable industry. We're seeing it happen here. Just, it might be the best time, like similar to how it was the lifeblood of cable in its earliest times. Go back to the mid 80s when cable was looking to fill time with whatever and said, yeah, fuck it, wrestling, who cares? And every little rinky-dink cable network in the world had wrestling filled all over their networks. USA had WWF and San Antonio and all these, stuff. And every cable network, every superstation had, 2 or 3 different wrestling companies on them. This might be the time to do that again, just because there's not much left of cable television. This might be the last little dying breath of it. So yeah, if you can get a good price on it, why not? Why not? But and to Tony's detriment, he can't really negotiate with anybody else until he signs that new deal with Warner. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to do that. So he's kind of between a rock and a hard place. He can't just say, well, hey, you guys, if you don't take this deal, I have a standing offer from blank or whatever to put it on there. He's not going to do that. So
no, he's doing the right thing, not stepping on their toes.
So maybe they know that they have him and they can just say whenever they're ready, all right, Tony, yeah, you got the Ring of Honor thing? Yeah, sure. True TV Sundays at 10 a.m. There you go.
That's exactly what it is. And that's my point. I don't understand why they have that mindset. It doesn't make sense to me. It's as Suit Williams is saying in the chat, USA took on NXT. I don't see that as being demonstrably different.
No, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, man. They're going to make a shit ton of money off of NXT, and USA is jumping for joy about what NXT is giving them on Tuesdays every night now. Every week, I should say.
All right, let's start reviewing this show. I gotta leave for like 3 minutes, so you can start. Give your thought. Did you watch the pre-show?
I did watch the pre-show, Joe. So you want me to talk
Why don't
0
you take
hour?
People through, take people through the pre-show,
Okay.
and I'll be back before you won't even know that I'm gone.
I won't even know you're gone. All right, so yes, believe it or not, I watched the pre-show, the 0 hour. Heard it was great. So I made sure not to skip it. And one of the matches Joe mentioned at the beginning was AR Fox and Shane Taylor, kind of the quote-unquote main event of 0 hour. But I got to talk about my favorite match of the 0 hour, which was Josh Woods and Tracy Williams, the Pure Rules match. And I'm not always the biggest fan of the Pure Rules. Sometimes I'm kind of like, I don't know. It just seems... And this dates back to even the early days of Ring of Honor. I was not always all in on the Pure Rules. I like the idea of it. I like the concept of it. But in practicality, a lot of times I'd watch the matches and just be like, I don't know. That didn't really quite land with me or whatever. I loved this Pure Rules match because it's Josh Woods against Tracy Williams. And now, again, to Caprice and Ian's credit, they did a great job of this. They're talking about during much of this match that Tracy Williams is still on the mend, still trying to come back because he was hit by a fucking car. He got hit by a car trying to save a dog. This is an incredible story here. He was trying to save a dog and got hit by a car, and he's still kind of recovering from that. So the idea here is Josh Woods of, the varsity athletes or whatever is going at Tracy Williams with, no regard. Hey, screw you. You got in the wrestling ring. Let's go. I don't care that you got hit by a car. I don't care that you were saving a dog. You're in a wrestling ring now and you're in my ring now. So he just blitzes this guy and starts taking him and working him or whatever. And Tracy Williams is fighting like hell to get out of these holds that Josh Woods is putting him in. So he's doing the rope breaks. So he very quickly piles up 2 rope breaks and then does a third not long after and has no rope breaks left to go. So he's used all of his rope breaks, and Josh Woods knows that. So instead of, having it where he, gets up to the limit, but then has that one last rope break and he, they tease that, oh, he's going to get the rope break, but then he moved out of it, or no, he didn't do it or whatever. Essentially what happened is that Josh Woods put Tracy Williams in a hold. Tracy went to go grab the ropes one more time. He had no more rope breaks, and the ref was like, well, now you're kind of fucked, man. And Tracy Williams was like, shit, I'm kind of fucked. And he just tapped out, and it was over. And I loved how simple that story was, is that Josh Woods just kind of got this guy, blitzed him, who's injured. He's not quite there. Tracy used up all of his rope breaks, and then, it bit him. He went to go grab the rope, said, fuck, this isn't going to help me, and then tapped out, and it was over. And I love that idea. I love that concept of, sometimes the better man just wins. Josh Woods was just in better health. He had a good game plan. He had the makings of a varsity athlete on this night or whatever. And Tracy Williams, who's not quite there just yet, got caught by the rules and essentially just was like, well, fuck, I got nothing, man. I'm done, and tapped out. And it was so simple and such a great way to use the pure rules. I loved the structure of this match.
Yeah, no, it was really good. See, I got back before you were even done with the first match.
Exactly.
I actually had to take a shit very bad.
Well, I'm glad you got it out in 3 minutes. That's good.
I couldn't hold it, and I knew it was going to be a mess. We'll just leave it at that. And I did get new toilets this week, though. So,
that ball cock, is that ball cock fixed?
You can tell your mother, who OG Flagship listeners will appreciate this. Okay, probably about a decade ago. Like, no bullshit on that. It was probably
it was a long time ago. I was in my apartment. Yeah, 13, 14 for sure.
Rich's mother was listening to the show, and she heard me flush a toilet. Now, why was I flushing a toilet on the air?
Joe, I did full shows. Not full shows, but half the show in the bathroom, for sure. It was reckless in those days, let's be honest.
There were definitely times where I was doing the show while taking a shit on the toilet. I'm not going to lie. I've been there.
Oh, no, for sure. 100%. Back in the headset days, in the Logitech headset days, for sure.
You unplug everything, you take it all into the bathroom with you, and you hope that you don't hear the echo. You know what I mean? Like the notice that that echo that the bathroom gives you. But anyway, I flushed the toilet. Rich's mother heard the toilet flush when she listened back to the show, because she, for some reason, listens to this thing.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And she said, Joe really has to fix that ball cock, because I had a problem with my ball cock. Now, the hilarity of Rich's mother telling me I need to replace my ball cock. I mean, come on, that just
writes itself. Yeah, it writes itself.
But I to this day, up until 2 days ago, when I finally replaced every toilet in the house, I had not replaced that ball cock. That was the same ball cock that your mother complained about a decade ago. But now all 3 toilets in the house have now been replaced, and it's been taken care of. And you can let your mother know that not only did I replace the ball cock, but I did her one better, and I bought an entirely new toilet.
Wow.
So how about that? Now,
are these fancy toilets? Are we talking Japanese style? We got heated seats and built-in bidets. What are we doing here?
Okay, so
because you're a man who likes fancy things.
I am. So for the guest bathroom and the kids' bathroom, I got bottom of the line.
Just a toilet, a white porcelain toilet.
Right.
It flushes. There's a seat.
I went to the Lowe's website and sorted by price. Okay? And that's what those rooms got. So for the master bedroom, me and TLB were like, do we want to go fancy here? Do we want a fancy toilet? How fancy do we want to go? And we almost talked ourselves into a toilet that connects to the Wi-Fi in the house.
Great.
And we were really into that idea.
For what purpose do you need Wi-Fi connected toilets?
To tell people that you have your toilet connected to the Wi-Fi, so they think you're fancy.
Right.
Okay. Why else would you need Wi-Fi?
I understand the refrigerator, because it's like, I want to look in my refrigerator at work to see what's in the fridge or whatever, or ovens. I left the oven on and now I can turn it off on my way to work. It's whatever. Right. I am trying to figure out the practical use for a Wi-Fi enabled toilet, but
I did a lot of research on them. So, and that's exactly what we did with the refrigerator. We bought a refrigerator with a bunch of cool features that we used for about 4 days.
Right. And then you just open it and then pick something up and then take it out of the fridge.
Correct.
And then eat it and then put it back in the fridge. And
now we use it like every other refrigerator we ever had. But we use those cool features for like 4 days. But she does have the refrigerator app on her phone. Here's what happens now. Now I go grocery shopping, and when I'm putting the groceries away, she gets an alert on her phone if the refrigerator door is open longer than 10 minutes. So when I'm putting the groceries away, she gets the alert on her phone at work, and then she always sends me a haha text. You went grocery shopping, the refrigerator door's open. Like that's what basically what we pay thousands of dollars. That's why you paid
extra $400.
Yeah. So I can get this. So I can get the same text every week when I go grocery shopping because I'm putting the groceries away and the refrigerator door's open. Anyway, so we looked into these toilets with the Wi-Fi, and one of them was like $3,400. You're gonna puke like, let's just fucking do it. Let's get the $3,500 toilet, right? And then we read the reviews, and honest to God, it was the reviews that warded us off because the reviews were terrible for this $3,500 toilet. People were like, the Wi-Fi doesn't work. The app is, they were complaining about the app. But to get to the point here, Rich, I still don't know what the Wi-Fi on the toilet does.
To figure out what you would need that for.
I don't know. Like, I still don't know what it does. All I know is these toilets are allegedly
flush
connected
from another place. Like, aha, I forgot to flush the toilet. It's great.
Yeah,
thankfully, I can flush it on the go or whatever,
So then we were just like, what are we doing?
Or like
here?
a notification that it's like clogged or whatever. And you're like, I know, I'm there. It's like, you're never away when you realize your toilet's clogged, because you flushed it and went, fuck. All right, well, this isn't good. So
I don't know what the fuck it does. So then finally we looked at each other and we're like, this is really dumb. We could do so much more with this money, and this is a waste of time. So I bought a third bottom of the line toilet.
That's probably for the best. Yeah.
So we didn't go with the fancy toilet. We didn't even go with a bidet. We just, bottom of the line, and I'll replace these in 13 years too. So anyway, I just broke in this particular toilet with its very first shit.
Oh, congratulations. How was it?
Yeah, it was, I broke in 2 of them, but one of the kids got me on the third one.
Oh.
So, I almost got all 3, but,
good flush though. Good flush.
Oh, the flush is good. You know what I did? The feature I did get was the 2 different flushes. You got the pee flush and the poop flush. Yeah. That's right. Because the pee flush uses less water.
Look at you. Look at you, Mr. Environment. I like it.
Yeah. If not, I've always been concerned with my carbon footprint.
Of course, you're a steward of the world. Yes,
I've always been concerned with that. So this just helps me further with my carbon footprint. And the kids can't get it straight. They like the heavy flush because they like seeing all the water. So it's not going to do anything for my bill or for the environment or anything. They just like that there's buttons on there and they play with it all day. So, but that'll wear off just like all the features on the fridge did. How's that TV working out for you, by the way?
Pretty good.
Did you tweak the settings for 6 months?
Yes and no. I actually didn't as much this time. I took it home and I was like, this TV sucks. It looks like shit or whatever. It's garbage. And it was probably about 3 weeks until I felt comfortable with it. And since then, I've kind of let it go. So it's good. I think I got it pretty quickly.
Yeah, I tweak my settings for I'm never happy.
I used to do that, and then I just decided one day I'm just gonna turn something on, and if I don't notice it, I consider it good, and then I'm just like, all right, it's fine now from here. Because I used to do that. I used to go online, and there'd be I don't know if you remember, there used to be these forums. They're probably still around. It's like you'd put in your model number, and they'd be like, so yeah, here's the exact correct settings.
You know what though? Here's the problem with that. Something I learned, and it broke my heart, and it's about to break yours too. When I set up my den, 3 of the 4 TVs in my den are the same make and model. Okay? I got the main TV, the centerpiece television, and then the 3 others are the same make and model. And out of box, all 3 of them looked different. Out of box, they all look different. So those things where they say, oh, here's the optimum setting for this model. I did that, but then when I put it on all 3, all 3 of them still looked different.
Because you're adjusting from different starting points.
Right. So that's bullshit. You can't even trust that, Rich.
Can't trust anything.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, that's why I don't do it. That's why I don't do it anymore. I used to, and now it's just like I get it to where, like I said, one time I turn it on and I say, this is fine. I have no complaints, and I'm done. At that point, I'm done.
You know what you gotta do? You gotta set it to sports because you know what that's supposed to look like.
Right.
Like, like you can put on a Bulls game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I put on a Bulls game and I tweaked that thing the entire game. It was like the opening tip, and I was like, "This is all fucked.
Yeah.
None of this is right." It wasn't until the fourth quarter that I finally felt like maybe I had it, and then the next day I watched another game and I was like, "Nope, it's all wrong." I just started from scratch and did factory reset and restart, and finally, after maybe 3 or 4 games, I got it to a point where I was okay. But yeah, you have to watch a sport you're familiar with. Golf for some people. Golf is a lot of one. I have a buddy who watches golf.
The lush grass.
He knows exactly when he's got his TV right by watching golf and knowing, okay, no, this isn't right, and this has to be this, and the colors have to be this, and the colors have to look like this. So yeah, that's the way to go for sure.
But like the Bulls, like it's not just needs to be red. You know the tone of the right
I've been watching,
tone of red.
I've been watching Bulls games for 35 years. It's like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and you know what their court is supposed to look like. You know what I mean? Like the right tones of everything. So you have to do it to sports and let everything else ride and just assume. The other thing too, you got to know what channels just have shitty pictures, and you can't use those to adjust. You know, everyone's cable have different channels that come in better than others. Like my Fox might be a shitty picture because my local affiliate stinks. Your Fox might be the cleanest picture you get, like because you live somewhere else. So you got to understand all that shit too. But yeah, it really can drive you mad if you're a perfectionist and you want to get these TVs proper. But all right, what fucking match were we on here?
So I had one. We are through one match so far. Josh
great.
Woods, Tracy Williams. I just talked about how that was my favorite match of the 0 hour. Loved that Tracy, used up his rope breaks right away, and Josh just kept going at him, and then Tracy went for the ropes. Can't get any more breaks, and then said, "Fall, fucking, I'm done," then and tapped out, and it was over. It's just a nice, simple pro wrestling story. Wrestling is so simple, and this was an example of just how good it can be when it's at its simplest.
Yeah. Jordan Smith says, turn off all the extra motion blur stuff. Jordan, I disagree. It's useful for sports and sports only. There are times where the motion blur stuff does help with sports.
I take it off right away.
Now, you can't watch anything else with it because it just destroys anything else that you're watching. But it will help, particularly the less expensive your TV is. Like the super expensive TVs, not so much. But if you're a normal person, like I assume most of us are, and you're buying a mid-level or lower TV, sometimes it can help, especially with shitty broadcast too, smooth out that shit. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, watching a movie with that is like infuriating. And when you go over to somebody's house and they have it on, and you're like, "What are you doing? Why is this on? Turn this off!" Like, why does everything look like a soap opera? What are you doing? Why are you doing this?
I'm going to tell you why. Because it's the default setting,
right?
And people just don't change it.
That's. Sometimes I go to people's houses and I'm like, I got to get your. Can I have your remote and change all your settings? This is infuriating. We can't watch this. How do you live like that? How do you live like this? This is insane.
Everybody's in-laws have that when you go over their house. It's like a commercial will come on and you're like, what the fuck what is happening with your TV? Like, is this some kind of
and I'm like, you don't notice this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, how do you not notice this? It's I've watched it for 4 seconds and I'm dying.
Because it's the same reason, like when you give up tweaking your TV, that you don't notice the imperfections anymore. Because if you would just stop tweaking it and leave it alone for a week, you don't notice anymore. Like whatever picture you're getting.
Right.
Action Andretti and Darius Martin.
There we go.
Versus the Workhorsemen. If you haven't been able to tell, we don't have a lot of topics this week. There's just we're doing what we got to do.
It's a light week
through the 3 hours here.
It's a light week this week. It's all right. We're gonna make it happen.
I thought this was a good match too. Like they went out there and just had a kick-ass match.
They just did shit, man. This is 7 minutes of guys doing shit.
Yeah, and I'd rather have JD Drake as part of the Workhorsemen than the fucking dopey wingmen thing. So,
that's right.
I wonder if
I always forget he was a part of that.
For a while he was doing both at the same time.
Right. What was?
I wonder if he, like he'd come out in a Hawaiian shirt for a dark match, AEW dark, with the wingmen. And then the next night he'd work as part of the workhorse.
Yeah, he'd have his Ribera jacket on the next night or whatever, his faux Ribera jacket. You're like, what's going on here?
So I'm looking, and it's pretty much all workhorsemen all this year.
Right,
so I
good.
think
that's definitely the smart way to go.
The wingman thing is probably over with for him. But this is a really good match, and I think that this is a good spot for the workhorsemen to be like a prelim ROH team. And it was a good spot to give Andretti and Martin a win because they're not going to win much on AEW TV. But, this is a good spot to get them a win. And it was a good action-packed match.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, just guys doing shit for 7 minutes. Good stuff. You mentioned Layla Hirsch, Trish Adora. I have nothing to add about that. It was 9 minutes of people not doing stuff. It was not very good. And the less said about it, probably the better.
Everyone knows I'm not a big Layla Hirsch fan, but I think she especially looked like shit here. I mean, she looked awful. So I can't really pin it on Adora, who normally looks pretty good. But Layla Hirsch, I mean, I know she's coming back from an injury, and I'm sure there's some rust, and she wasn't in as good a shape as she's usually in, and she was a mess. I mean, this match was just a mess. The less said, the better.
And then AR Fox, Shane Taylor, which was the quote unquote main event of the Zero. Great stuff there. Yeah, AR Fox, and obviously this week on Dynamite, a big spot for him as he's a new part of the embassy. And yeah, this is if I was booking a promotion and AR Fox was a member of my promotion, like one of my top goals would be figure out something to do with that guy that is prominent or important or whatever. He's still so good. It's unbelievable how good he is still, and he hasn't slowed down at all. If anything, he's even better than he was, 10 years ago, which seems unbelievable. And this is great. I've always loved Shane Taylor, and I know there was that brief period where it seemed like he was just kind of on the outs and didn't want to be a part of this new Ring of Honor and didn't want to be a part of AEW or whatever. And it's cool that he seems to have embraced it a little bit more and understands, because there's a role for him too. I love Shane Taylor. I think Shane Taylor is great. I think AR Fox is great. And I envision many, many more things for Shane Taylor to do in this new Ring of Honor. And AR Fox, obviously, gets the win here because he's about to go on to Dynamite and join the embassy and bigger stuff for him as well. But yeah, this was great. I mean, these are two just veteran pro wrestlers that just went out there and had a great match, with AR Fox being the flyer, Shane Taylor being the base, and just doing a bunch of really cool shit in those 10 minutes. So yeah, what a 0 hour, man. It was just wrestling. You know what I mean? Wrestling, a quick little promo package about one of the matches, and then wrestling. And that's, and when it was done, you got about 35 minutes of great wrestling in an hour. You can't, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Got this big roster, gives people some work. It's what you want, is action. But
I didn't,
look, Taylor,
Paul White didn't tell me what the motivations of Pac were. So it's like, oh man, I don't know.
I was confused watching the match because of that.
Right.
I knew that
but what are Pac's motivations? What does he have to do in this match to defeat Claudio Castagnoli? So
that's the first example of booking, thinking forward for the rest of your week. With AR Fox winning that match, I mean, he'd mostly been an enhancement guy since they signed him, and Taylor has honestly been pushed harder, but he won this match because, like you said, he was going to have the title match on Wednesday, and then they were going to do the big angle and turn him. So, he got the big win on the pay-per-view pre-show. And then that brought us to the pay-per-view, and the opener was Gravity and Commander. And the same thing happened there. I thought, I really, really enjoyed this match, but I saw a lot of mixed reviews, and I could see why a lot of people didn't. This was sort of a classic lucha match where they didn't really try to tell a quote-unquote American television style story. They just took turns doing shit to each other. And I don't really mind that, especially as an opener on a pay-per-view like this. I've been begging AEW/ROH to do this as the opener on all of their shows.
I'd open every show with this, yeah.
You have all these luchadors. You have guys like AR Fox. You got, all these, your Action Andretti's, your top flights. You have all these guys who can do these kinds of matches, and I just don't think they're utilized properly. And, the ROH pay-per-views often do open up. What was the last one? Was Vikingo and Commander, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And, Gravity is everyone knows by now he's Bandito's brother, and, he works a lot for Big Lucha and Galley. We talked about that last week. And, I talked about this on the Dynamite review today, but I'll bring it up again here. I don't think he's ready for TV. Like, he's the kind of guy who could probably use another 2 or 3 years of seasoning, but in the current wrestling environment, you can't do that. If you want somebody, you have to bring them in. And that's why Nick Wayne is on TV the minute he turns 18, regardless of whether he's a prodigal talent or not. You know, it's why Billy Starks is on TV the second she turns 18, when we all know she's not ready for TV. It's why WWE signs Cora Jade when she's 18, and they're pushing her by the time she's 19 or 20. Even
That's why we've seen 2 years of Sky Blue. We've seen 2 years of Sky Blue where she's learning on the job.
Learning on the job. She's another example. And, you know, if you want Gravity to work for you, it's, you know, or any of these people, you have a choice. Get them into your ecosystem now or risk the other side getting them first. So you people don't have a chance. Sky Blue should be on the indies for 5 more years. It's just, you can't though. If you like Sky Blue and you think she has upside, you have to sign her now. You know, and you know, Gravity is a guy who, he's not perfect. He's not a finished product. And I've seen a lot of him. I've seen a ton of his indie work. And I like him. And this match wasn't perfect. But you got to do it, you know, and you got to get your claws in these people now. But, you know, it was a good match. I was probably higher on it than most people. I'll find out what you thought about it in a second. And it was very much a surprise finish. I don't think anyone saw the Gravity victory coming. Oh, but then what do? They announce that he's taking on Pac on Dynamite. And not only that, if Pac wins later tonight, this man's getting a world title shot on Dynamite.
There it is. World title. Big spot.
I love this kind of shit.
Yeah.
I love this kind of shit. You don't have to do 40-minute fucking novellas on TV for me to tell me a story. This is a story enough for me. And then later on, when Pac's wrestling Claudio, they show this motherfucker watching the TV, rubbing his chin, because he wants the world title match. I love that shit. So, you know, there was a purpose to him upsetting Commander. And, you know, I really think they need to get Commander some wins. The guy never wins. But, you know, this is a great introduction of Gravity to your fan base. And then with the extension of that against Pac on Wednesday. What did you think of the match?
Yeah, so I thought it was good. And I was kind of surprised when I saw a lot of the reviews were down on this match. And just like, this, and was it great? It wasn't, but I think maybe people have this idea that every next luchador that's going to come through that curtain is going to be a Bandito level guy or a Vikingo level guy, and that's just not the case. We saw it already with Commander, who's like he's not on that level. He's good. I like Commander a lot, but like, hey, he kind of goes out there and just does silly shit. And you've talked about that with Vikingo too. Vikingo's an incredible high flyer, but the bell to bell, the actual story of a match, Vikingo's not the best at it. He's still just kind of a guy that goes out there and does cool shit. And sometimes that's okay. Like sometimes that's fine. I mean, he's the best at it. You know what I mean? He does that better than anybody. And then you have somebody like a Gravity who's not ready yet for the big spotlight, not ready yet for a big spot, but you know, you throw them out there and these guys go and do a bunch of cool shit for 10 minutes. And you know, does it look perfect? Is it as good as a Vikingo match? No. Is it as good as a Bandito match? No. Is it as good as Roosh? No. It's not on that level, but that's okay. I thought it was hot action. It was quick action. And I think I'm with you. I would start in my ideal wrestling company would be, and we talked about it that a couple months ago, when they started that episode of Dynamite, and we did an Instant Reaction Live. I forget what the main event of that one was, but the show started with Pac. It was Phoenix. It was Phoenix and Claudio in the ring, right? Was that the match?
I think so.
Yeah, Phoenix. They were in the ring already, bouncing up and like both guys were bouncing. The referee was in the ring.
Intros were done.
Yeah. They did the intro and they said, "Oh, welcome to Dynamite. We're about to hit the ring, ding, ding, ding," and then they just went at it right away. So 14 seconds into the show, you're already watching two guys rip at each other and do stuff. Like I would have every one of my shows start that way. I would do the pyro, go to the ring, two guys are in the ring, ready to go, bell rings, hot action. You know what? And it doesn't always have to be.
To be fair.
Yeah. No. And Rampage does a great job. Rampage, for all the things about Rampage and all the many things, Rampage starts, they introduce it, and they go to the ring, and there's guys getting ready to fight every single time. And I will always take that. And I always love a pay-per-view opening, you know, with two, you know, fast-paced workers. And yeah, it wasn't great, but I thought it was a solid opener, and I didn't have much issue with it. So I was kind of surprised that so many people were down on it. You
know, Dynamite, I understand that they mookie ball that a lot, you know, and they often open up Dynamite with what's really the main event. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to game the viewership and hold on to the viewership from, you know, the lead in and all that. I get that. I understand. But when it comes to pay-per-views where that stuff doesn't matter, when it comes to Rampage where it really doesn't matter, you know, when it comes to some of their other programming, I would open up with this kind of match every single time because you have the roster to do it. In fact, when the time is right, I would take either the TNT belt or the international title, put it on one of these guys, and for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, I would have that title centered around these great high-flying wrestlers that your roster is loaded with. And have them trade that belt back and forth, 4-way matches, 3-way matches, singles matches, trios matches to set up title matches. And I would build one of those titles around these amazing luchadors and high flyers that you have, and make that a trademark and a staple of your promotion that people know that that's the kind of action they're only going to get with you and not with WWE. And there's that loose connection that AEW will always have to WCW and Nitro because of the networks they're on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that was a staple of Nitro. And so you have that connection as well. You know, and I would do that because you have the roster to do it instead of Commander just losing every time he wrestles. So, yeah, I welcome this. And I love that these ROH pay-per-views seem to be in sort of that pattern that I'm talking about, where you're going to open up with a match like this. Next up was Samoa Joe and Dalton Castle, and I thought this was a shit ton of fun.
It's way over-delivered. Way over-delivered.
Yeah. So, a lot of spots with the boys, and Samoa Joe was great interacting with the boys. And we keep writing off Dalton Castle as this guy held together by tape who's been broken down for the last 5 years. But you know what? He always has a solid performance.
He always does. You know? Yeah. There was a time where it felt like he was on his last legs, and maybe the time away did help because there was the period where obviously Ring of Honor went away, and then he went away and he wasn't working anywhere. And he's come back and he seems like he's in a lot better shape. It looks like his back's a lot better. It feels like he's in a lot better. So yeah, it felt like he was on his last legs, but man, I feel like he's got a lot more years in him. Because he can still deliver. And even if he's not the bell-to-bell worker he was 5-6 years ago, and he was never that great of a worker anyway, but he gets it. You know, he's so good at the personality of it and the larger-than-life aspects of being a pro wrestler that, yeah, he can bells and whistles his way through a great match, and he did that here too. And Joe interacting with these, just absolutely absurd. It's Joe, this stone-faced killer with Dalton Castle and the boys, and just the interaction of that is just pro wrestling at its best. You know what I mean? It's just it's people that think we don't like fun and wrestling and we want everybody to be UWFI and come out in black trunks or whatever. No, I just want guys to wrestle. I want stuff to happen in the context of a pseudo sport. You know what I mean? And the boys and Dalton Castle happen in the context of the pseudo sport. They happen to be absolutely absurd, and it doesn't it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it's ridiculous. But that's the fun of wrestling, is that this ridiculous stuff happens in this pseudo sport. And so yeah, I don't want everybody to be pancreas or whatever. But
everyone has their line.
Right.
And Dalton Castle doesn't cross mine.
The boys fanning him to get him up, that's good stuff. That's just good.
That
just
doesn't
good
cross
for
my
wrestling,
line.
Man. Yeah.
And maybe that does cross someone else's line. It doesn't cross mine. Your dance offs and shit, that crosses my line.
Right. Stalker Ishikawa never crosses the line for me ever. I still call him Stalker Ishikawa, and I know that's not even what his name is anymore, but I'll always call him that. And we got sent a link to a match by Case Lowe. I think I believe Mike Spears, they opened the Voice Gate crew. They were both sending out that link to a match that featured it was a 6-man match, and Stalker Ishikawa was part of it. And it never fails that every time that I watch an Ishikawa match, something makes me laugh. He does something and it makes me laugh. And in this match, he's getting his ass kicked. He does one move and the guy flies out of the ring. He rips his shirt off as in all right, here we go. It's a rally. Right. And he turns around and tags out. I was like, that's incredible. That's just such good stuff. He kicks this guy. He runs out of the ring. He rips his shirt off. And the crowd goes, yeah. And then he goes, oh, yeah. And then he tags out as if oh man, I've had enough.
The thing with him is he's been doing it for 20 years and it's never repetitive.
It's always good. There's always something new that always makes me laugh. So yeah,
it's never the same routine.
No.
He doesn't do the same. It's always something new with him.
Yeah, it's just, I was howling and I'm like, God damn it. He gets me every time. It's so good.
So next up was the 4-way for the tag titles. Aussie Open, Mark Davis is back. They are the new ROH World Tag Team Champions. I saw a lot of people happy because this gets those titles off the Lucha Brothers, and a lot of people who don't care about ROH want the Lucha Brothers freed up to do AEW stuff. And it's Well, what was Ring of Honor preventing them from doing? They don't even
Right.
have like a show. Like,
What story were they not involved in because they had the Ring of Honor titles? Yeah.
yeah, like Ring of Honor is doing fucking tours of the fucking
They're in New Zealand. Yeah, they got an Oceania
Yeah.
tour, so they're not going to be around for a couple weeks. It's like
it doesn't matter. It makes absolutely no difference to their availability, But Best Friends and the Kingdom were also in this match, and I'm kind of numb to these kind of matches. I can't sit here and tell you that it wasn't like really good, but there's definitely a ceiling on how much I can enjoy this. Eventually it becomes sensation overload. I'm like, okay, I've seen 48 dives. Can we hit the finish now? It's I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. It's and this this was similar to the match that they had on the last pay-per-view. It seems like Ring of Honor has one of these on every one of the pay-per-views. That's the one that obviously had the Martin. I think it was Darius Martin or whatever, or Dante. Sorry, I always mix the two up. Yeah, Dante, who dislocated his ankle or whatever. But those some sort of matches, it's like, yeah, at a certain point you just become numb to them. I always like in these kind of matches too, if you brought somebody to a show and they didn't watch as much wrestling as we watch, they would love this match. They would just be like, holy crap, oh my no. But for people that watch the amount of stuff that you and I watch and the people listening to this watch, you just kind of become numb to these sort of matches. You know what I mean? It's just guys, especially just bodies. It's just bodies flying around and guy boom, 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 and just a new body and a new body and a new move, and here's a move, and here's a move, and here's a spot, and here's the thing. It's just like, they're good in very small doses, but they become really hard to invest in. So like I was watching this match, but I'll be honest, my eyes were glazing over it was happening. It was like I don't know if I enjoyed it, and I don't know if it was good or not. It was over, and I was like, that was fine. And then I just like I'll never remember this match ever again. Like, and I'm sure somebody went to that show and they fucking adored this match and thought it was the greatest match they'd ever seen in their lives. Somebody who was brought by a friend or whatever was like, holy crap, that was amazing or whatever. Me, I'm just like, I don't know. I just moved on with my life and assumed
so many of them.
At some point in the next couple of weeks, I'll see a very similar match again on some other company.
Yeah. I mean, we have the same conversation every time someone does a ladder match. They all just, you watch with glazed over eyes and you recognize that what you're watching is impressive, but you've also seen so many of them that you don't care anymore.
Yeah, right.
But that's modern wrestling. If this match happened in 1982, it would have won match of the year and be regarded as an all-time classic, But now it's a match on a pay-per-view where you're like, I wish they'd stop doing this. Mogul Embassy defends against the Fire Pro Button team of Leon Ruffin, Master Wato, and Ryusuke Taguchi. And look, this was so much fun. It got a little sloppy at some points, but the finish was so great, where Wato and Taguchi get cut off and knocked out of the ring. And then the three Mogul Embassy dudes, who are all fucking monsters, they just grab Leon Ruffin by his limbs, throw him as high in the air as they can, and let him crash down on the ground. And that's your finish. That fucking ruled. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me when Rob Naylor was released from his job at NXT. And they got him in the ring and they did the hip hip hooray thing and were throwing him up in the air and catching him in the ring. Like, that's what Leon Ruff reminded me of when he got thrown up in the air by the Mogul Embassy. The NXT roster tossing Rob Naylor up into the...
Probably about the same size, right?
And
probably about the same size and weight.
Well, Ruffin's probably taller, but Naylor's like ripped. And Ruffin's really skinny. So they're different shaped men, is my point here. They're much different shaped men. But yeah, no, I thought the finish was incredible, and it was a lot of fun for a match that no one saw coming.
I love the Mogul Embassy crew. They're just big meatheads. We need more meatheads, and we need more just dudes that look like this in wrestling. You know what I mean? And have more dudes that look like this in wrestling against skinny guys like Leon Ruffin. And then wrestling is back when that happens. And yeah, this is a hell of a lot of fun. Was it a good match? No. Did I enjoy this match a lot more than the match prior? Like, I fully admit that the ROH World Tag Team Title 4-Way match, the match prior, was a better wrestling match. But did I enjoy this match more? Absolutely. 100% did I enjoy this match much more because, it's the Fire Pro Random team. They're kind of trying to figure things out. They didn't even know how to like come out to the ring. Like Leon Ruffin's music played, and then Wato was like, I guess it's my turn. And it's like nobody knew where to go and where to stand or whatever. They're just like, we're a team, let's go. And then the Molesky comes out, and they look how they look, and they're all just a well-oiled machine. And then they just beat the hell out of these dudes. You know what I mean? They just went in, and like you said, the finish was just, we're big, strong, you're skinny, small. Let's lift and throw them up in the air and then drop them. Okay. Game over. I love this match. Ruled. I love this match.
I like when Brian Cage wears the face paint. It makes
he
me
needs
wonder,
to
like,
always
why
wear
didn't
it. He's got. I said that on the other show when the time when he dressed up like Sting. I was like, you know what? Fuck the Sting thing. He needs to just wear the face paint all the time. Power and paint. We need it back. It's missing in wrestling, and he's the missing link to it.
Yeah, and he just shouldn't talk anymore. He's just like growl and scream.
Exactly.
And just wear face paint.
Let Nana talk. You got Nana there for a reason, man. Just snarl and scream.
So Shibata versus Daniel Garcia for the Pure title. Rich, do you know that they're doing Pure Rules squash matches on the Honor Club television?
Oh, boy.
Pure Rules matches against enhancement guys. They're doing that. Like, come on now.
Not what John Walters would have wanted. All right, come on, or whatever his name was. It was John Walters, right? Not John Walters. That's not what his name.
John Walters.
Not John Walters. What was that guy's
John
name?
Walters.
Was it John Walters?
No, he was the.
No, I always mix up the actor.
No, John Walters was the ROH Pure champion who did the job on like Sunday Night Heat or whatever, or Velocity.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Gabe immediately took the title off of him because
right.
He told him, "Look,
because kayfabe,
you can do jobs on TV, but not if you're a champion. That's my only condition. Like which is reasonable. Honestly.
For sure.
You know, like, and so he did the job on Velocity or whatever it was, and then on the next show they took the title off him, and I don't think he really ever pushed him again.
No, that was it for that. But, so I always forget that John Walters and John Walters, the actor with the little pencil thin mustache, and John Walters, the wrestler, have the same name. I always figure they have different names, but they have the same name.
Right.
Because we've done this bit on the show. I'm positive we've done this bit on the show before. I've said John Walters, and I went, no. I not the actor John Walters. I mean the wrestler guy. And then I remember, oh, yeah, his name is John Walters, too. It's just, I don't know why. I just feel like they should have different names, but they don't.
Yeah. Remember when he went to Lucha Libre USA as RJ Brewer, and he was their he was their
Lucha
top
Libre
heel?
USA, man, what a throwback.
He was their lead heel, like because there was some Arizona senator by the last name of Brewer who was like anti-immigration or something, so it was good heat. Like he was allegedly the son of that woman, was his gimmick, and I don't know a lot about politics, but all right, here it is. Conservative governor of Arizona, Jan Brewer, was opposed to illegal immigration, and there was some bill, Arizona SB 1070, right? And it was a hot button issue at the time. So they figure, all right, we'll have this white guy as the top heel, and we'll say he's that guy's that woman's son, and that'll be his gimmick. And then he was, he would cut all these anti-immigration promos to like these luchadors, and that was the heat, right? And Lucha Libre USA, folded or whatever. And I haven't heard from John Walters since, although I Googled him and it looks like he did a couple AEW matches.
Well, look at that.
Yeah. Just hold on. I got to pull up his cage match here. So there's a picture of him.
Lucha Libre USA, for people to know, I think it was MTV2, I want to say, right? It was one of the MTVs, I want to say 2. And it wasn't Lucha Underground, I'll tell you that. It was just kind of it was a pretty regular ass Lucha show for the most part. I mean, obviously a little multicam setup, a little bit more, a little more glossy, obviously being on MTV2, but essentially just a Lucha show. Wasn't really over the top. It wasn't universe bending or anything. It was just kind of a Lucha show. No. Marco Corleone and RJ Brewer and Liz Mark Jr. I remember being a big part of it. And I don't know.
Magno was a big Rocky Romero.
Petey Williams. I remember Petey Williams in there a lot too.
T.J. Perkins under a mask. I forget what his gimmick was. But I went to Lucha Libre USA house shows.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Plural, Rich. Because they would run Texas. They would run like San Antonio. They ran Round Rock. They would run minor league baseball stadiums. They ran Round Rock with a Round Rock Express play. I remember I went to a show there to see. Yeah, I enjoyed that little promotion for what it was. John Walters did a job to Tony Nese on AEW Dark last year. So that's his most recent listed match on Cage Match. And it looks like he did some Dying Days Sinclair ROH as well.
Oh, so they brought him back. But and indeed, Joe, I was correct again. And remind me the next time we do this bit. John Waters is the guy. I always mix up John Walters and John Waters. Yeah. John Waters is the actor. John Walters is the wrestler. So remind me in 3 years when we do this bit again.
You're gonna be reminded of this too. I think the most bizarre John Walters booking, without question, would be in 2016. He did a New Japan show in New Zealand. New Japan did a charity show in New Zealand, with Hanare and Jay White.
And someone said, guys. Call John Walters. What's John Walters doing?
And Jay White wrestled RJ Brewer on that show in New Zealand.
Wow.
Someone explain to me how that came together. I am
who knew who? Did Rocky,
dying to know.
Was Rocky on that tour? And they're like, Rock, there's got to be a guy. And he's like, hold on.
Yes,
He's just going through his phone. He's just going through his phone, just texting everybody.
It wasn't a tour. It was one charity show. And Rocky, by the way, was in the main event. It was Beretta, Kaz Okada, and Rocky Romero over Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. That was your main event. And the semi-main event of that show was Jay White versus RJ Brewer.
I wonder if he did the Arizona prop, SB 126 or whatever gimmick in New Zealand.
In Auckland, New Zealand, to very confused.
It's good heat in Auckland. Yeah.
Yeah. To some very confused Kiwis who were like,
yeah.
What is this?
Well, I guess they're just like, America. Yeah, it seems like it sucks. And this guy would be a good representation of America sucking, right? So that might.
The opener of that show, Hanare versus Hikuleo. This is 2016, Rich.
Yeah, those are young guys at that time.
You know who else worked this show? Strongman.
What?
Yes. Well, he was in Lucha Libre USA as well. I think I'm picking up on the connection now.
Okay, so it was, somebody must have, enough people knew enough people, and we're just like, whatever, call.
Because you got Rocky Romero, RJ Brewer, Strongman.
But this is like 4 years after Lucha Libre USA, right? Because they were done by 2012, 2013.
It sounds about right. Yeah. Anyway, that was.
I guess they owed him a solid and said, "Hey, I'll call you when I have a chance. I have an opportunity for you." And it's like, "Hey, want to go to New Zealand?" It's good.
He just pops up at the weirdest times. Like, who knew he worked AEW Dark last year?
Right? No idea. Yeah.
Like, what's he doing? Like, he's obviously just like working at the mill, right?
He's got
a
job.
He's just
living life. Sure.
And every now and then, someone calls him. And he just, like, look at this. He's got these random bookings in, like, the UK, like, out of nowhere. Like, who's calling up John Walters and being like, hey, man, can you do a shot against Doug Williams in Wiltshire, England on Sunday? And then he goes, yeah, I'll be there. Wrestling is the weirdest shit.
It's so weird. Okay. Do you think he wrote this, or did somebody else write this and it's true? Personal life on the old Wikipedia page for one RJ Brewer, real name John Stagikis, Stagikas. How would you pronounce that?
That's a shoot name. Yeah.
How would you pronounce that? Stagikis. Okay.
Stagikis, yeah.
All right.
Not that hard.
For all intents and purposes, John Walters owns a villa in Costa Rica.
What?
Okay. It says he owns a villa in Costa Rica. After graduating, he trained shelter dogs and worked in real estate.
Okay.
Did he write that? He wrote that, right?
I'm looking at his page now.
He wrote that line.
And I feel like he wrote his own page.
Right.
There's a lot of information on John Walters on this page. Like he's got a bigger Wikipedia entry than like some politicians and star athletes. There's a lot here.
There's a lot of detail about his ECWA run. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a lot of info about his Super 8 tournament experience. And it's like, all right.
We've got four graphs on his chaotic wrestling run. I mean, if he didn't write it, he had to have written that himself.
Well, apparently he has enough money to own a villa in Costa Rica due to his training shelter dogs and working in real estate. So good for him. That
it must be good money training shelter dogs. Wait, what is a shelter dog?
I don't know what training a shelter. I guess like dogs that are in shelters that you would.
Oh, okay.
You would then like take them home and then I guess like fostering shelter dogs and teaching them how to, better integrate with their new. I don't know.
So is that the same as when I lived in New Jersey and I would just volunteer at the shelter? Like that's what he was doing?
Yes. I assume that's probably what he's just doing is like going to the shelter, throwing the ball around, walking him a little bit and just sit, paw.
Like
yeah, they're good. She's good.
On Wednesday nights, I would go to the shelter and they'd be like, all right, feed those guys, clean that cage. This guy has to be walked. Like that's what he's doing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it is.
With a pocket full of treats while on the walk and doing, hey, stay, stay.
Right. Yeah.
Leave it, and then give him a treat. All right, go. Yeah, no,
whenever I do that,
walk. Yeah, she can walk now. Yeah, she's good at walking.
There'd always be a new dog there sometimes when I go, and they'd be like, "Oh, don't go near that one. Like, don't put your hands near that cage." It's like, we got to call in John Walters to handle that one. He's got to. Yeah, that was. So maybe that's what he's doing. Like,
well, good for him.
You bring in an abandoned pit bull comes in that ate off some kid's face, and John Walters comes by.
RJ Brewer goes in.
Yeah, here comes RJ. Yeah,
with some train meat treats to get things on track. So,
and he's like, one day I'm gonna have that villa.
Apparently he has the villa. Apparently he's got it. So good for him.
That's right. Yeah, he worked up to it though.
So he's just floating on a barge in like Costa Rica, and someone calls, and Rocky Romero's like, "Hey, pal, I got a thing for you. All right, I'll be there." Yeah.
We need you in New Zealand on Thursday. And he just and the thing is he shows up.
Yeah, he's there.
He's there. He locks up the villa and he shows up. So sounds like an interesting life. This John Walters.
But enough about Daniel Garcia. I guess you're Shibata, so
yeah. It's just some show we do here. Where are we at? Oh, Shibata. I wanted to say something about Shibata. I feel like he's lost his aura. But there's a big but there, Rich. I don't mind. Like, he used to be like this killer, this stoic. He's just going to come in there and destroy a young lion. He's never going to cut a promo. He's Katsuyori Shibata. That music hits and it's on, right? He's not that guy anymore. But I'm okay with that. Like, he's all jovial at the post-event press conference. He's using the Google Translate to answer the reporter questions.
What a gimmick that was.
Yeah. Like,
dying.
I guess when you have your brain removed for surgery and then your brain put back in, it changes a man. Maybe that's what's happened here. But I feel like his aura is not what it used to be. But at the same time, I don't mind. He's back in the ring. He's thanking Tony Khan for giving him his career back. Did you see someone asked him, they said, are you still associated with the LA dojo? And he was like, oh, no. No. Shake it. I'm telling you, people are like, oh, he re-signed with New Japan. And
they did the shoulder to shoulder, like goodbye LA dojo. Like I think he made it pretty clear, right?
And I know that they said he signed a new deal and everything. Clearly that relationship is fractured and something's going on there because he's not part of the dojo anymore. They won't book the guy when it's obvious he wants to wrestle.
Right. They have completely washed their hands of them. They're like, dude, do whatever the fuck you want, but you're not doing it on our time and our dime. Get out of here.
And there's no way Tony Khan would be booking him unless he had doctors clear him. Like that would stun me if they're just letting him go out there without having him have been cleared by someone, a neurologist of some type. So I don't know. There's just a lot of oddness there. And I think a lot of people want to just like, I don't know, probably for a conversation for another day. But
Z in the Notos chat room brings up a good point. Maybe they swapped brains with somebody else accidentally when they put his brain back in, and they're like, "Here you go," and he's just like, "All right."
Someone asked Dave. Maybe someone else was getting brain removal surgery at the
same
time.
Yeah, they're like, "Ah, shit. Well, whatever. It's fine."
Yeah. I
still like him. I still like his wrestling, but you're right. It's not 2013 Shibata, and that's okay. He's just a different guy.
It's
now.
okay. I don't mind. I'm happy enough to have him back. You know, and him being dominating this division is great. Like,
yeah, and he's ratcheting it up a little bit. He's not there. He's not back to what he was, but he's starting to ratchet up a little bit. The let's not touch this guy, or oh my god, he needs to be in a bubble era with New Japan with the Zack Sabre Jr. and the Ren Narita matches or whatever. Those are kind of gone now, and now he's doing a little bit more, and the guys are working a little more snug. It seems like everybody's not as scared, to work with him as they were anymore, and he's not as scared anymore. And I think that's for the better. I mean, I obviously, you got to trust that AEW has done their due diligence, as you said, that the guy is cleared and able to do it. But yeah, I think it's going to take a little while for everybody to feel comfortable. But it does feel like we're starting to get there where people are a little bit more comfortable just kind of laying it into this guy and him, doing likewise. But yeah, he's different. He's not the same guy, and that's okay. He's an older, more mature Katsuyori Shibata, and that's probably fine.
This is so perfect for him. He doesn't have to wrestle anything close to full time, and these rules suit him perfectly. It's just a great situation for everybody. This fight without honor, Rich Craig. Dark Order, Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, and John Silver against my boy, the balloon guy, Dutch, and Stu Grayson. This was my match of the night. I fucking love this.
It's so good.
Match.
It was so good.
This was so great. I can't believe how
I have the main event, but this is number 2 on my list.
Yeah, the main event was great, but I have minor issues with it. And this, and which we'll get into, but like this was just so much fun. And maybe because it over-delivered so much, I couldn't believe how good this match was. For a plunder match, especially. It's just great. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It was fucking incredible. I wanted to go like 4.5 on this. Am I out of my mind?
No, you're really not. You're really, because people really put this over. And again, like I watched it a couple days later, and I was like, it can't be that good. And I was done. I was like, it was that good. This is really this, and it's crazy because like we've seen so many plunder matches, like we talked about with the 4-way. Like we see a lot of that shit all the time, and it's like, you're gonna get sick of it eventually, or it's not gonna quite deliver to what you want, or whatever. But these guys found new and inventive ways to have a plunder match, and new and innovative weapons, and new the Lego inclusion. It's not the first time that Legos have been used, but they used it in a very, I thought, a very fun way, and a very good way, or whatever. And it was fucking nonstop. Like every single second something happened. I think that's another part about it too, that it was only 15 minutes long, that it wasn't 25 minutes, it wasn't 30 minutes, and there wasn't a bunch of heroic kickouts or, it was just like the bell rang, and it was a fight without honor, and these 6 guys just went out there and it was a fight that happened to have weapons. It was a fight that happened to have plunder, not a plunder match for the sake of having a plunder match. It wasn't a weapons wild match that we're going to talk about with NXT. It wasn't a kendo stick match or whatever. It was these guys wanted to fight without honor, and just so happened that they had Legos and thumbtacks and tables and chairs and ladders and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's what made it good. And yeah, it was Evil Uno was fucking pissed at Stu Grayson. So anytime those guys got in the ring, they wanted to tear each other apart. And the Righteous are more than happy to muck it up with people. And then Reynolds and Silver, they just had to deliver on their end too, and they absolutely did. And yeah, it was awesome when it was done, and it was just the bodies just laid out, and the blood, and just the bloodshed, and oh god, it was it was a sight to be seen. You wouldn't believe it if we just said that it was the Dark Order versus Stu Grayson and the Righteous in a fight without honor. You wouldn't believe that it was as good as it was. But yeah, you going 4.5 is not crazy. I went 4.25, but if you went 4.5, I would definitely not say, oh no way, Joe, that's insane. Like no, your Cage Match has it at an 8.26 right now. With almost 200 votes. Like it was good. It was a really, really, really good match. Way, way, way over delivered. Well beyond my expectations. Well beyond.
Do you hear what I'm doing?
Are you doing the balloon guy snapping your fingers? Yeah, you love balloon guy, man.
You got to do this. Tell me you don't do the snap.
I kind of do, man. Yeah, I kind of do.
He's
got a vibe, man. He's got a vibe. It's undeniable.
I'm telling you.
You are going to be right on this. It's going to take about 4 years, but you're going to be right about the Vincent thing.
I'm telling you, the guy has something. That snap entrance, he's got a little rhythm going. It's
talks to the camera. He's all ominous. He's so much better than Bray Wyatt in every form. He's like Bray Wyatt if reality. It was good. Yeah, like if it was actually good and decent.
Yeah, like he's not doing magic tricks. He's
just a creepy motherfucker. Yeah, he's just a creepy fucker.
Yeah.
Looks like he smells. You know what I mean? In a good way.
Oh, which is vital to the game.
Absolutely.
You have to look like you smell. Yeah. So, no, this was great. I love the balloon
Dutch.
guy.
I love Dutch too. Dutch he's just a big guy in a suit, just a fat guy in a suit.
Old WWE Dutch.
He still has that, right? Still at WWE Dutch, right?
Yeah.
I love Dutch. I don't know why. I always forget about Dutch, and then I see Dutch, and I'm like, fuck yeah, Dutch. Yeah, Dutch is awesome. So.
Vincent got to bring the balloons back, man. When those balloons would release, you knew it was on. You're like, uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Shit's about to go down.
Still the best cinematic match, by the way.
Oh, without question.
Far and away the best.
Either that or the fight on the farm. One or the other.
Oh, the fight on the farm was pretty fucking great. Okay.
It was that one and the fight. But ROH had the two best ones.
Yeah, for sure.
I had another point, but who cares?
Balloon guy, man. Who cares?
Yeah. Balloon guy rocks. Yeah. Claudio and Pac. Or is it Pac? I always fuck it up.
Pac.
It's Pac, right?
No.
Yeah, you're supposed to say Pac.
No, maybe. I don't know.
No, we say Pac.
Oh, it's Pac. Yeah, you're supposed to say Pac. You're supposed to say Pac.
Supposed to say Pac. But,
Caprice is switching every time, so I'm with Caprice. It's like...
Well, I mean, anyone who grew up in the 90s, it's the way Tupac spoke.
Yeah, I just go by with the way Tupac was, and which I'm sure, I'm positive Caprice, because he's not that much older than you and I, right? He's around the same age, I think, is...
He's probably like right between both of us or something. Yeah,
Caprice is 46 years old? Hell, wow.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's closer to you than he is me. Good. Let me tell you that.
He's looking good.
I will not look like that when I'm 46, man. I don't look like that when I'm 36. I'll tell you that. I got 10 more years to go.
But there you go. He's the Tupac wheelhouse.
Right.
At that age.
So you can tell in his brain wheelhouse. He knows that it's Pac, but he's gonna say Pac because he's just like, nah, man.
Like he was like 19 when Tupac was the
shit.
Yeah. Like that, he's like the perfect age.
Yeah, bumping Me Against the World on his cassette player or whatever. Yeah, no, for sure.
He had the he had the CD changer in his car.
Right.
With the system in the trunk, with the fucking bass in the trunk. That's what he had with the Tupac. So now that we've sorted that out, it's Pac. Yeah, no, the one thing I didn't like about this was the post-match stuff. I didn't think it made any sense. Now, the Freakazoids are going to get mad at me, and they're going to bring up,
what's new?
The best friends don't like Claudio, because if you remember, on the June 16th, 2021 Dynamite, look, this was all convoluted, all the shit that happened in the post-match. Okay? It was just random people coming out to beat each other up, and it did lead to stuff on this week's Dynamite. I'll give it that. But these people that kept coming out to jump each other after this match, there was no prior associations that were meaningful. I'm sorry. There just weren't. Do you disagree?
No, I'm with you, because it's like Orange Cassidy punched Claudio, and they're like, oh my God, he got Claudio. And I'm like, so? Who cares? Like, would he not want to punch Claudio? I'm like, I don't understand why it was, like, oh no, he was trying to punch this guy, but then he punched Claudio. And I'm like, okay. That's fine. It's not like him and Claudio were like tag team partners, and it's like, oh no, the fracturing of the Orange Cassidy Claudio. I was
no, but why were best friends even coming out?
And it was a really good match up to that point, and I feel like that finish did lose a lot for me because I'm like, I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's just a whole lot of happening, and I don't know. It just, but the match itself and the wrestling was very good. He press slammed Pac and threw him over the top rope through a table like 4 minutes into the match, and I'm like, holy fucking shit! What else are they going to do?
That was so good too, because I forgot that table. I knew that the table got set up, and then I forgot about it, And then, yeah, he lifted him up, and I was like, oh, what's he going to... Oh, my God. He just threw him in there. And Ian and Caprice had a great call on that one, too. They do an incredible job, but they just selling the surprise of it happening and just how crazy it was. Yeah, it was the finish was just... It was convoluted. And I know that there was obviously the stuff with earlier in the night, and I don't know. It felt like it was a weird cop-out to a finish that just, it would have been fine. Like, it's okay. Pac can lose to Claudio.
And it just felt like a bunch of random people coming out. It felt forced is what it felt like.
Yeah, right.
But,
I felt like we need a way to kind of conserve Pac here. We don't want Pac to take a clean loss. So we're just going to have a bunch of guys come out and do stuff. And
we need a way to get to Mox Orange Cassidy that we're probably doing in Wembley.
Right.
I mean, that, so let's just start it here. I don't know, but
it took away from the match. It definitely took away from the match. I'll say that. But it finished, and I was just kind of like, yeah, that felt like a crappy way to finish what was to that point a really, really good match.
Yeah. Now Athena and Willow Nightingale. Now, okay, let me preface this by saying that I thought it was a great match. No one's going to remember that I said that, though, after the next 90 seconds. I thought it went on too long and they did too much, and they kind of lost me by the end. This says 20 minutes and 31 seconds. If this said 40 minutes and 31 seconds, I wouldn't have blinked, and I would have not thought it was wrong, because it felt endless. Like, I'm actually surprised it was only 20 minutes and 31 seconds. I thought for sure it was going to be like 30, 35 minutes, because that's what it felt like when I was watching it. And it was great. And I know they crammed in a lot of tribute spots to a lot of the previous Ring of Honor women's wrestlers and all that. And that's all nice. I understand that. Willow kicks out of the first O-face, and then...
and that was a big moment. That was a cool moment.
That was the big moment. Yeah. And then they basically went back and redid all the same spots again, and then beat her with the O-face. But no, it was a really good match. I thought it was excessive, and they did too much. And by the end of it, I was like, this has overstayed its welcome. But I accept them probably firmly in the minority, because everybody loves this match. What did you think?
One of the things that bothered me about this match, and again, I really liked it as well. It was my match of the night. But one of the things that they did is a lot of, in the early part of the match, they were doing, and this has like been a thing that a lot of people are doing in their matches these days. And Impact has done it a lot lately, and I know some indies do it a lot, where it's like, there's a big time title match. So what we're going to do is we're going to do all of the finishers of the past champions that have held this title or whatever. And it means a little bit more when you're doing it on an anniversary show for Impact, and it's a guy that's had the title. It's like Josh Alexander doing it or whatever, or it's Alex Shelley doing it, who's been with Impact from early on, like not necessarily day one, but early on or whatever. So he's doing it as like a way to sort of honor Impact or whatever, and TNA, whatever. But like, when we have Athena and Willow going through, and we're like, oh, that's Sumi Sakai's finisher, and it's like nobody holds the ROH women's title in any reverence. You know what I mean? Nobody. No. And that's, I'm not besmirching any of the people that have held the ROH World Women's title or whatever. But nobody cares about that title. It's not an important title. You're making it. Athena's making it important right now. Make your own history. Set your own history right now. Don't worry about what Sumi Sakai and Kelly Klein and Mandy Leone and all. I mean, pretty much a terrible title for a lot of years, like a laughingstock title. Nobody cares about the title. Nobody cares about the history of the. Make your own history here. So doing that sort of stuff and making that a deliberate part of the match of, oh my God, she's honoring past Ring of Honor Women's World Champions. It's like, nobody cares. You know what I mean? And I'll give it to Ian and.
Well, I guess they care. And
okay,
and
that's fine.
No,
but I don't.
And again,
but I don't. You know what I mean?
I understand what they're doing. I thought the match just went a little. I thought they missed their peak.
Well, it made it seem a little bit more excessive when then they were doing their own finishers and people were kicking out and stuff like that, and people were you know what I mean. Like, so I know that it was like, oh, we're paying tribute to past champions, we're paying tributes to people that helped us along the way or whatever, but then we're also going to do our finishing moves and we're going to kick out of all those as well. It was just a lot. Like, you know what I mean? It was just a lot, and I just think they didn't need to do that. They could have just had an Athena Willow match, and once they got past that sort of stuff, I was fine with the rest of it. Like, I didn't mind the last half of the match. Like, I thought it was really good. I know that you maybe thought it was a little excessive. I could have missed a lot of what they did in the opening, 10 minutes or so. But everything after that I loved. And I loved the finish. I loved kicking out of the O-face. I loved Willow just surviving the last 10 minutes of this match. And Athena just throwing everything she possibly could at her. So I didn't find it excessive at all at the end. I did find the first 10 minutes pretty just, I don't know, just kind of weird and lame. And it's like Willow and Athena, I think, are good enough that they don't need to be relying on spots from other people. You know what I mean? Just do your own thing, make your own history, set your own standard, because this is one of the best ROH women's title matches ever, and it's not hard to become one of the best.
Hold on a second.
It's and that was the point I was going to make, is like, proving that history doesn't matter is it was the best ROH women's world title match ever.
By a fucking mile.
By a mile. And every future Athena match is going to be the best ROH women's world title match. And if Willow ever wins it, she's going to have the best. No matter what happens, it's going to be the best. So it's like, just make your own history. You know what I mean? Like, go out there and set your own stage. Don't necessarily worry about, the past.
No, I mean, the match was great. I just, that's my little nitpick.
No, it was really good. I went 4.25. My match of the night, 4.25 plus, I would say there. Let me throw the little plus in there, because I did like it.
Embraced it.
I've embraced it. I liked it a little bit more than the fight without honor, but those were neck and neck. Those are my 1 and 2, with Claudio and Pac being a pretty distant third. I'd say there, but I think a really, really good match, and I'm glad it was the main event, and I think they delivered in the main event spot, and the crowd was hot for it, and I thought the last couple minutes of the match were really, really good, and it was a testament to, and I always say this, like, people that try so hard to grade women's wrestling on a curve, you just don't have to. Just let good women's wrestling happen. Now you get a match like this, and it's like, it's so silly when you see matches that are not good, and people are like, no, that was pretty damn good. Oh no, that was like, we're still talking about the fucking Taya, we're still talking about the Taya Jade match, and it's like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Like, it was fine. But then, like, when good matches happen, we talk about with Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter. I came on our interaction and said, like, that's it. Like, you don't have to qualify it with anything. That's just a great fucking pro wrestling match. And I thought Athena and Willow was just a great pro wrestling match. You don't have to qualify it with women. You have to qualify it with men. You have to say anything. It was just a great, great, great match. That I'm glad it was in the main event, and that was the right idea for the main event too, for sure.
Well, I mean, it should have been the main event, because the Claudio Pac match didn't come together until like 3 days earlier. Like, that's not the main event. That can't be the main event of the show. Claudio was supposed to wrestle Mark Briscoe, and that fell apart. This match has been built for some time, and was really one of the only matches on the entire show that had been built for any length of time. So it was a deserving main event. This wasn't even a Tony Khan trying to, get people off his back for a while, throw the women's wrestling a bone deal. This should have been the main event, because the Claudio match with Pac's an emergency fill-in. That's not, that shouldn't have been so the right match ended the show, and it ended up being a better match anyway. So from that standpoint, I don't even think this was a box checker or a quota filler or any of that bullshit. This was the deserving main event of the show.
And especially when you were going to do the finish you were going to do with Claudio and Pac. That would have sucked if that was the finish on that one or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been a real damper of the end of the show. You were going to have a clean, definitive win. And yes, it was a heel winning or whatever, but it was a heel winning after a hard fought match. And it was definitely the way to do it. And it's, it's yet another feather in Athena's cap, who's been probably the best connective tissue of the Ring of Honor, over the last couple of months, really. I mean,
when you talk to people who actually do watch the Honor Club show, they all tell you that Athena is the best thing about it.
Yeah.
So I can't comment because I don't watch the Honor Club show, but everyone that I would trust to have good opinions says the same thing, that it's Athena's show and she's the best thing about it. So
she definitely came out with some aura too, like her entrance and the entrance, the wings and the just the way it came to the ring, like she was owning that ring. You know what I mean? It was just like, this very clearly is the main event. And like I was trying to say, like, yes, she was a heel that won, but But yeah, it's kind of like a tip of the cap to her for really carrying Ring of Honor television over the last couple of weeks or last couple of months or whatever, being, like I said, the connective tissue of Ring of Honor. So yeah, it was a good ending from that standpoint. It was just a clean, definitive win for someone that's been putting in good work for your brand. So yeah, it worked out perfectly.
All right, so we got to talk about this Wembley situation because we're less than a month out now.
4 Dynamites away.
4
Dynamites away.
Is that what there's 4 Dynamites?
I believe there's 4 Dynamites until now in Wembley, I believe. Yes.
Okay. Look, I know
1 month away, exactly a month away, August 27th, as of this recording, 30 days away.
By the time thousands of people listen to this, it'll be less than a month away. And we don't know anything. Now, I get it. Collision, there's going to be a huge tag title match. I loved the promos for that on Wednesday, and they sold a bunch of tickets off of those promos. And this is what we mean when we say talk people into the building. I mean, those promos were great, and tickets are moving, and that feels like a huge match. And MJF says he's given Cole a title match, win, lose, or draw. So we know we're going to get some kind of an angle and something to come out of that. And maybe we're even going to get our main event for Wembley as soon as Saturday. The larger point here to me, though, isn't that there's no matches announced yet. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but that's not the larger point. The larger point to me is we are less than a month away from this show. It is their next big show, so there's no excuse. It's not like there's something in between that they're focusing on. It is undoubtedly the biggest and most important show in the history of AEW. And on top of that, it may end up being the biggest pro wrestling show in the history of the business. It has a chance. And it doesn't feel like it at all. You would barely know that this show is happening just strictly based on their television. And to me, that's the bigger problem than the fact that we don't have any matches announced yet. That's a problem too. But they haven't made this feel like the enormous, potentially biggest wrestling show of all time that it is. There's no hype. Excalibur mentions this show maybe once per Dynamite. And I hate to make this comparison because it upsets people, but it's true. Think about the difference if this were a WWE show.
Oh, my God. Michael Cole would be squealing about this.
He'd be hearing about this fucking show. You'd be vomiting how much you're hearing about
right,
this show.
They would overdo it for sure.
And how big this show is, but it shows the difference. This company, it's like the show's not even happening. Why is this show not being shoved down our throat? Why are we not constantly being told? Why is Excalibur not saying 6 times per hour, in 1 month's time, it's the biggest show in AEW history, the most well-attended pro wrestling show of all time as we go to Wembley They never talk about it.
Right. There is only 28 more days until we fill Wembley Stadium for the biggest wrestling show of all time. All AEW All In Wembley. It seems
and I know what people are going to say. Oh, they're going to ramp it up. Oh, they'll start. And
now's the time. Ramp it up, baby. Let's go.
What are you waiting for?
Ramp it up. Let's do this. We said that when we did our Blood and Guts instant reaction, and we were like, all right, you know what? They haven't really ramped it up because they were waiting for Blood and Guts. Blood and Guts is done, man. Ramp this fucker up. Let's go.
There's no more excuses. There's nothing now in between this point and the show. Why isn't this being presented to the fans as the biggest pro wrestling show of all time?
It's like, just swagger walk. Brag about this thing. You are about to put more people legit than any, like you could there's a very likely possibility that this will be the most well-attended shoot, like legit well-attended and not with people with guns in the back of their backs. North Korea, let's throw that out there. Like, it's going to be potentially one of the most actual legit attended shows in history. Wrestling shows in history.
It has a realistic chance of being the biggest show of all time.
Right. It is undoubtedly the biggest show in AEW history. Just even if you wanted to in the totality of the pro wrestling world, undoubtedly the biggest show in AEW history.
And the most important, they have to nail this.
Put a puffy chest out there. Say, hey, look what we did here. We are selling this and this and this. And be happy about it, man. Brag about it.
Be happy about it. Talk
Make it
about
a big deal. Make it a big deal. Make it the big deal that it is. It's a huge deal. You should be very, very, very happy about this.
Look,
you should be proud of this. You should be bragging about this. You should make this such a gigantic deal that anybody that's not going to that show is feeling that they're going to miss out and needs to watch this show. And everybody that's going is just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to be there for history. Unbelievable. I can't wait.
Rich, what percentage of their television audience knows how to order it? What do you think?
Well, Joe, because we don't know what it's on. So 0% because they haven't told us what it's on yet.
It's on Bleacher Report, isn't it?
Is it?
The fact that we don't even know.
It's not. They haven't said. Nobody said. It hasn't been said yet. I'm sure
We're not
it
even
is.
sure.
I'm sure it is on Bleacher Report, but I don't know if that's been announced yet.
This is such an embarrassing situation.
Let me see. Can I order it on Bleacher Report Live right now? You know?
Yeah, go look.
Let me see. Well, first off, I got to get BR Live to work. Everybody, oh, it works perfectly for me every time. Oh, really? Well, okay, because every time I try. Bleacher Report Live. Looks like AEW pay-per-view. Click in there. I got Death Before Dishonor. I got Forbidden Door. I got Double or Nothing. I got Supercard. Nope. I can't purchase it on BR Live at this time.
And it's less than a month away.
Yep.
And nobody knows how to watch it.
Yeah, when you go to BR Live's AEW page, it's Death Before Dishonor. Rewatch Death Before Dishonor.
Now look, this is not. I look again. They've got their analytics. I know they like to push their pay-per-views very late in the game because they believe that's when people make their.
This isn't the one.
This is something different. You should be screaming from the rooftops. Everyone, Rich. I don't even know the date. Like, the date should be embedded in my brain. Is it August 27th?
It's August 27th. But yes, you should every time Dynamite should say, we're only 17 days away from it. Because again, like you said, WWE would do it to an annoyance. Corey Graves and Michael Cole would squeal every commercial break. Can you believe we're only 17 days away from the biggest wrestling show in history?
It would this show would have its own catchphrase.
Right.
By now.
And whatever theme song they did for it, you'd be so annoyed by that theme song because it would play in and out of every commercial break because they would go,
yeah.
WWE's next premium live event, the biggest event, you know, whatever dumb song would be playing, and they'd do an intro video, and Freakin' would scream, and they would go, only 17 days away from Seth freaking Rollins versus da-da-da-da-da, and I mean, come on, man.
Some band you never heard of, but now you've got the cover art of their album memorized. I don't, and look, maybe the counter argument would be, well, how can you hype something if you don't know how to tell people to see it? Well, how about
my problem? Figure that out. It's 30 days. It's 30 days.
You should already know how we can see it.
Right.
This is all one issue.
Yes, I agree, person. Hypothetical person. Stop yelling at me. I agree. There should be a way to watch it as well.
This is going to sound weird if the show feels cold. Like it doesn't feel like
it does.
Show in wrestling
78,000 people. They might have 80,000 people there, and it feels cold. It feels cold as ice right now. 30 days up.
And they're going to do a big angle on Saturday, probably, and
they'll get there. They'll get there for sure. But
they will get there. But I mean, my God, you'd think that it's you would think that it's like Battle of the Belts that's coming in 30 days. It's just the hype levels are like from 0 to 100. The hype levels for this thing are at like a 12. Why? What the fuck are we doing? At least advertise something locally. Put up a fucking poster on Big Ben that has MJF versus Adam Cole on it. Do something. Put up a fucking poster on the fucking River Thames or whatever the fuck. The fucking
the Docklands.
Something. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You know, and people are going to say we're overreacting. That's coming.
Oh, for sure. Like, yeah. No, I get it. And it's like, and they're like, well, they're going to sell the tickets anyway, and it's going to do well on and it's going to be a good show. And I'm sure of all that, but it's this feels like a good opportunity to just, like I said, like even from the standpoint of, if I'm AEW, be happy about this, brag about this, walk into the room and say, guys, unbelievable. Do you guys realize we're 30 days away from putting 80,000 people in Wembley Stadium or whatever? Let's go out there and let's hype this thing up, and let's have Excalibur, as you said, is screaming about everything all 2 hours. The whole 2 hours, Excalibur's screaming about stuff. Can we get him to scream about the show that's about to have 80,000 and be the legit biggest show potentially in wrestling history? Like, can we just do that? Can we, it's, I don't know. It's just, like you said, it feels cold
so
and
weird.
I don't know. I would be so happy and so proud of this thing happening that I would, second Blood and Guts was over. I would, and I'm not saying I need all matches. I don't need 9 matches set. Like, that might be overkill because WWE does that a lot. They used to do that classically. A pay-per-view would end, and then on Monday Night Raw the next night, the almost half the lineup of the entire next pay-per-view or whatever. I don't need that. But man, a match or two would be nice. And constantly saying, just so you guys know, we're 17 days away. We're 30 days away from the biggest wrestling show ever, our biggest show ever, AEW All In Wembley. We're going to put, 78,000 people in Wembley Stadium. It's going to be an unbelievable. Make sure you're watching on blank, and make sure if you're in the area, you buy your tickets now. And if you can make travel arrangements, you got to be there. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to make history with AEW. And it's just like, you don't know what's happening. And guess what? They got all out the week after. Then they got to hype another pay-per-view the week after.
I thought it was on Bleacher Report. I really did.
Not
I
yet.
honest to God thought they announced that.
Not yet.
I thought Tony said that. I'm like Mandela affected here.
Maybe he did. I don't know. It's not available to buy right now if I wanted to buy it, but maybe. He may have.
No. All right, I guess we'll find out at some point.
It's just strange. Yeah, it's just like be more boisterous about this. Scream about this a little bit, man.
How about sell the rest of the tickets?
Yeah. There's enough to be had. Yeah, what's the latest on WrestleTix? Let's see here what they got here, because they opened up a whole another big section, if I remember correctly, right? Let's see. Oh, just made a post 2 hours ago. Still 7,111 tickets available for the show if you want to get there.
There's 7,000 tickets for sale.
Yep, they are trying. They're set up. They're trying to do 84,048.
Right.
So they're trying for 84,000. Right now they have 76,000, just under 77,000. Just a shade under 77,000. They got it right now.
They have more tickets for sale than they draw for a typical Dynamite.
Right.
I don't know.
Scream. That seems like a good time to start screaming.
I'd want to get some matches announced. I think. Silly me.
Get those travel arrangements going. There's still time to book a flight.
Absolutely. But the time would be ticking on that, right? Like if I wanted to go, I kind of have to know if I'm taking a jaunt to fucking London.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go, by the way. That sounds like a real hassle. I don't go to wrestling shows an hour away. I'm not.
Right. Well, there's a wrestling show this weekend that's an hour away from you. I wonder if you're, I don't know if it's an hour away. It might be a little longer than that.
There is?
There is. We'll talk about it in a moment.
All right.
So yeah, I don't know. It's strange. It's like you could see the pieces coming together. Like you said, this Saturday we'll probably have a match, and Mox and OC is probably going to be a match, and Fightful's reporting that Jericho and Ospreay is potentially a match. We're 30 days, man. Like it's a big show. It's a big moment. Like.
Okay,
a lot of assumptions being made. It's just book some matches.
I have to read this from the chat. Suit Williams says, I watch the show every week and have a pretty good feel for the top matches. I think this is one of those things where you have to give the fans credit for watching the show and knowing what's coming. Suit, stop. We should not be expected to be fucking mind readers and figure out the card based on Tony Khan's crumbs that he leaves on television, which most of the time don't even leave a solid trail. This is the same man who goes on his post-show pressers and talks us through these great storylines that he comes up with, but they're all in his head. They never play out on TV. It's all Tony Khan's fucking headcanon all of the time for a lot of these stories. And it's like, this is the biggest show in wrestling history. I shouldn't be less than a month out thinking to myself, not having one match announced, and thinking to myself, well, I think they might be doing MJF Adam Cole, because I'm not even sure they're doing that. They should be telling me what they're doing. Why is it my responsibility to figure it out like I'm on a fucking Chikara scavenger hunt? Tell me what's on the goddamn show and tell me how to order it. I don't even know how to order it. Here's my money. I've got a fistful of fucking money, and I don't know how to give it to you. I want to watch the show, and you are not even telling me how I can watch the show, let alone what matches I'll be watching when the show is on. Okay? I am Jonah Hill in 40-Year-Old Virgin at the eBay store wanting to buy the boots, and the woman just won't sell me the boots. And he's saying, I have money. I would like to purchase these boots. And she's saying, no, you have to go home. That's what this is. I just want to buy the show. I just want to know what's on the show. I don't need the whole card. Something. I thought the show was on Bleacher Report. Apparently it's not.
I'm sure it will be. Again, similar to the matches, I'm sure it will be on Bleacher Report, but we're doing a lot of should-bes and assumptions at this point right now, 30 days out.
We have to know how to order the fucking thing.
76,000 people, 77,000 people have bought tickets to the show, man. Brag about this. I just want them to brag about it and be puffy-chested about this. The world should know this, that this is happening. You know what I mean? Everybody watching on that television show should know goddamn well that this show is the biggest thing ever that this company's ever done, that's ever happened in wrestling. And if you don't make plans to watch it or be there or have your friends watch it, or you're an idiot, because this is gonna be the biggest thing ever and we're making history. That's it. That's all I want. Or to be able to know how to watch it, or to be
I just want to know how to watch it,
or be able to watch it, which would be cool too. But.
You know, here's the thing: I don't even fucking care what's on it because I'm gonna buy it no matter what because I'm stupid like that. Can you just tell me how to order it at minimum?
And maybe some of the matches. I mean, a couple of the matches would be nice to know.
I mean, I'm buying it. Just I don't know how. I don't even care what's on it.
Well, and Jordan
really
Smith, Jordan Smith in Note of Sharon brings up a good point too. He says it's hard to know for sure what the build for All In is going to be because a lot of those could also be the build for All Out, which is a week later.
Of course.
So it's like, sure, MJF and Cole could be at All In. It could be at All Out too. Could be in Chicago.
If it's not at All In, I don't know what the fuck the main event's going to be. But again. At minimum, can you please just tell me where to send my money? That would be nice.
I have $60. I want to give it to you. Where do I give it?
Yeah. Let's move on.
All right.
To what I'm not sure.
Oh, I got.
Do we have any other?
I got no thoughts on All In on Wembley, but we'll go to SummerSlam in a little bit. I don't want to do SummerSlam right now. We got SummerSlam and SummerSlam weekend.
SummerSlam?
That's next
When
weekend.
the hell is that?
That's next weekend, Joe. Did you know that? SummerSlam early this week, this year. It's on August 5th.
I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about SummerSlam as least possible as I can get away with. So I don't...
Very far towards the back. Yeah, and it's not even, we can preview it next week. And I mean,
no,
I don't want to preview it either.
Hold on. SummerSlam is next week, not
next
this week.
It's next week.
And I don't want to talk about it this week at all.
Okay,
Why would I want to talk about
We'll push it to the back. I wanted to. Well, you don't want to talk about Flophouse Wrestling, no fucks given. You want me to do because I was going to do my annual thing now where I discuss all the other shows that are happening. You go, I wouldn't watch that if it happened in my backyard. Fuck that show.
I think the most torturous gimmick you do is reading these indie lineups that are piggybacking these major shows.
It's not torturous for me. I enjoy it.
I'm like, you know what it's like for me?
You don't want to watch Sanctuary Fight Club August 6th? From the Sanctuary in Detroit and Ham.
Did you see the movie Airplane?
Yeah, of course.
And every passenger he sits next to tell his tale of woe, they find new creative ways to kill themselves.
Yeah, that's you.
That's this bit to me, that when you do this bit. I'm lighting myself on fire.
Incredible.
1 week.
But
next week,
Joe, at Flophouse Wrestling's No Fucks Given, 5 p.m., the old Miami, Detroit, Michigan. Tommy Vendetta's Block Party Fuckery Invitational. Are you kidding? You don't want to know who is participating?
I would say that
in Tommy Vendetta's Block Party Fuckery Invitational.
Yeah, I would say that No Fucks Given is an appropriate name for that show. is what I would say.
You used to like old wrestling, right?
Old with the E.
with the E.
Old
yeah,
wrestling.
Marion Fontaine's produce show. You used to like that, right?
No.
Oh, well, they're wrestling this weekend too. So
no, I never liked that.
Oh well. Well. Nevertheless, we'll talk about it next week. So.
I see. Pastor Charleston Lovewell is on that show, Rich.
Old wrestling rules, man. I don't know how you don't love old wrestling.
Does it rule?
It doesn't rule. No, it's not that great. But
how much money have you spent on old wrestling?
Joe, I spent $20 on old wrestling before I went to a live show once. It was fine.
Well, who played the barkeep?
The shtick. The problem with the shtick is it after about an hour, you're like, all right, I think I get it. You know what I mean? It's like
I think
when Ricky Shane Page comes out as like the old timey preacher, you're like, all right, I think I get it.
No, he's a judge.
Oh, that's right. Oh, right. Yeah, because he has a little gavel. Yes.
He's a judge. I don't know why I know that.
See,
that's a problem.
You know a lot more. You know a lot more.
That's a problem.
You got
too,
Effie as F.E. Davidson.
Oh.
Yeah. Rohit Raju is also there. Okay, we'll do this gimmick next week. So.
No, we won't.
Yes, we will. We have to. We must.
I'll be ingesting poison while you're reading these indie lineups. I promise you that.
You don't want to see Matthew Cross versus Benny the Booker, the bookie, Benny the Bookie. Sorry, Benny the Bookie.
I see.
See,
Game Changer is running Detroit, so of course the name of their show is My Name Is.
Yeah. Oh, do you get it, Joe? Rich? Because Eminem, the rapper.
I'm elbowing you in the ribs. Get
right?
it?
Do you get it? Eminem, the rapper, who is from Detroit, Michigan.
Yes.
He's Eminem. He's a rapper, and he's from Detroit, Michigan. He had a song called "My Name Is," and that's the reason that Game Changer Wrestling. It's named after the Eminem song. Who's from Detroit, by the way, Eminem.
Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah,
it was. I know it was right down to the buzzer. They were either going to go with "My Name Is" or "Stan" for the name of the
right.
show. And I know that 8 Mile was eliminated early because they had copyright concerns.
Yes,
film of the same name. Yeah, that was none of that's true, but probably all of it's true.
But yeah, none of it, but also all of it. Yeah, so that's
right. That's probably the thought process there. All right, yeah. Listen, you can read all those. That'll be another Game Changer show I will ignore and pretend doesn't exist. And
you got Jeff Hardy live in concert.
Oh, wow, great.
Yeah, I love this about WrestleCon. So they had the Scott Steiner. Not the Scott Steiner, Scotty Steiner's fine. The Rick Steiner controversy. So they got him out of there. They're like, we're sorry, we apologize, no more Rick Steiner. And then they announced real one, Enzo Amore. And I was like, is that better? Is that any better than Rick Steiner? We've heard all your concerns, and we understand Rick Steiner is off of WrestleCon. We'd also like to announce real one, Enzo Amore is on WrestleCon. It's like, hold on a minute. Right. I feel like that was a zero-sum transaction. It didn't really...
I'm staying out of it.
Yeah, it's just like, all right. Like, we've heard your concerns. We heard you loud and clear. Rick Steiner has been done away with. But don't make sure you don't miss out on real one coming at WrestleCon. It's like, all right, well, whatever. Oh dear God, wrestling, so stupid.
Play Marty Scurll's music.
Did you see that the NWA got people all hot and bothered about the return of Marty Scurll and ended up just being Violent J?
Yeah. Yeah.
They typed whoop whoop in a tweet and everyone's like, oh my God, Billy's lost his mind. No, he hasn't. He's just booked. Well,
which is funny because none of those people are going to watch regardless. Like,
right.
What's the difference? Like, what if they did book Marty Scurll? Now all of a sudden you're not going to watch You're not going to watch NWA 75 now. You fraud. You weren't going to watch it anyway. Who cares? It's like.
But now you get Violent J with the clowns. Yeah, with the.
Well, it's
the two
weird
Chicago
because
clowns,
they announced Violent J, but did not announce Shaggy 2 Dope. But then a day later said also appearing Shaggy 2 Dope.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Ask them. I don't know what why they did it that way.
Oh God.
I'm told there might be heat between the two.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Do you know any what do they call those people?
Juggalos? I don't know
assholes?
any juggalos. No, I don't know any juggalos.
Besides assholes. What do they
I
call
knew
them?
juggalos in high school, and I no longer know any
Um,
juggalos. I'll tell you that. So,
I don't know any juggalos either.
the juggalos I used
I
to run with, I no longer run with anymore. So,
You used to run with juggalos?
not run with, but like, tangentially friends with some juggalos. But
Did they have the tattoo with the guy with the hatchet?
yes,
They had that?
of course.
You have to have it, right?
Of course,
if
yeah.
you're a juggalo. The silhouette tattoo of the guy running with the hatchet?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what
yeah,
it
yeah.
is?
It's got a name, but I don't know what the name, and I don't want to know the name, and don't tell me the name. I'd prefer to not know.
Yeah. Do
But,
they still run Juggalo champion shit wrestling?
I think they do. Yeah.
with like corporal punishment and
Champion shit wrestling.
yeah.
I think they do. Sue Williams brings up a great point. Yeah, I know you argued with him earlier about the all-in point, but he brings up a great point here. Marcus Mathers
Yeah.
wrestles in GCW all the time.
Oh shit. I see where he's going with
Call
this,
it the
and I like
Marcus Mathers EP. What are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing? He's right.
Done.
That is such a lost opportunity.
Fuck, they can't do anything right. These idiots. Come on.
No.
God damn it. He's right.
One thing's guaranteed on a Game Changer Wrestling show. Joey Janela's wrestling the best guy. Who's he wrestling on that
He
show?
is wrestling. Well, Commander.
Ah, well, there you go. You got to hand it to him.
You do.
You got to hand it to him. It'll be 8 minutes too long.
8. It'll be 18 minutes too long. All right. You want to know the show that's happening in your backyard that you're going to go to this weekend?
Sure.
You're not going, but that's fine. NXT The Great American Bash taking place in Austin, Texas, right in your backyard.
What's the venue?
The venue is, of course, I know this offhand, and I'm not Googling it right now. It is happening at the HEB Center at Cedar Park.
Oh, yeah, that's where AEW runs.
Yeah.
I think it's the same building.
Great. July 30th. You going this weekend?
I can't imagine Cedar Park has more than one arena.
I would imagine
has to
no.
be
That
the
Cedar
same
Park
building.
probably. I believe that is the same one. Yes.
I've seen Impact in that building.
Yeah.
When it was known as TNA. I've seen minor league hockey in that building. So I've been to the building, Rich.
Okay. You going this Sunday?
Absolutely not.
For the
I wouldn't
NXT
go to an
Premium
NXT
Live
show.
event?
Not a fucking chance. I hate NXT.
How long's the drive? How long's the drive door to door?
I don't know, 90 minutes or something.
Oh,
maybe.
come on. 90 minutes? You're going to miss out on. Now, please don't bring up that Impact is happening like 20 minutes from my house this weekend. I'm not going. You need to go to this show. Come on.
No. I can't. I loathe NXT. and anyone who likes NXT, I think less of you. That's not even a bit. Like if you genuinely enjoy NXT, I think less of you. I hate it that much. It has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
Well, Joel, I'm up on NXT. I'll tell you why. This weekend or this week, I was Tuesday. I felt terrible. We had a bunch of wildfire smoke again. Thank you, Canada. What's your guy Warren Hayes doing up there? He's too busy clubbing seals. Tell him to grab a pail of water and get these wildfires figured out.
I mean, seriously.
Right? Maybe
Warren Hayes, put the fucking fires out, dude.
Yeah, to put the club down, let the seals roam, let them do their thing, and get a hose and take these fires out, man. Come on, what are we doing?
Tired of this shit.
God, so I was sick as hell.
Control your shit.
I know I can't breathe. I can't. I got a temperature. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna sit on the couch and watch the Cubs and the White Sox. You know, what I mean, I haven't sat down and watched a White Sox game in a while for good reason, because why would you? I mean, I don't like pain, so I just decided I'm gonna hand wave this team for a while. But it's Cubs White Sox. All right, I'll watch it anyway. So I sit down. I got the remote. I'm watching Cubs White Sox. I'm laying down because I'm not feeling that good. They go to a break in between innings, and I'm like, NXT's on. Fuck it. Between innings, I'll see what's happening on NXT. It's my job, right, to stay up on NXT. So I flip over to NXT. I watch a couple minutes of NXT. I go, we're probably back from the inning break. I'll watch Cubs White Sox. So I do this 5 or 6 different times through halfway through the game or whatever, and then something horrible happens where the remote falls out of my hand and goes into like a weird spot that I have to get all the way up. I got to get upright, turn my. It's like it's gonna be way too much effort. I feel like shit. I feel like garbage. I got a temperature. I don't feel like moving. This remote's gonna require me to get up. I got a dog laying on my legs. It's gonna require me moving the dog. I gotta put down the couch. There's a lot of things that have to happen. Did it stick on Cubs White Sox? No, Joe. Of course, it's stuck on NXT. So I watched pretty much the last hour and a half of NXT straight. So I'm up on NXT. I know.
Good for you.
All the haps on NXT. But let's talk about the Great American Bash, and then we'll talk about NXT ratings here a little bit. Of course, the premium live event available on the award-winning Peacock, the Peacock that's lost $6.5 billion, I think, this quarter. So, or this year, or whatever, whatever. You know,
yeah.
It's water under the bridge, whatever. You know,
it's gonna course correct.
I'm sure.
You'll see.
It's 6.5. I mean, look, it's an investment in the future. 6.5 billion. You know, you lose it now, but you make it back later for some reason. So okay. Baron Corbin versus Gable Steveson. So Gable Steveson, who has the charisma of a fucking I don't even know. The dude has nothing. Did you see this promo? I know you didn't, because you're smart and didn't watch NXT. He's so bad.
This segment's all you.
It's
buddy.
all me, man. Okay, so he comes
Take
out.
it away.
And it's Gable Stevenson's gonna make an announcement about his future. So he comes out and he goes, "All right, everybody, I'm good to hear make an announcement about my future." It's like I'm doing less. I have way too much charisma right now in describing him. And he's like, "As you might know, I'm an Olympian, and I could be the first 2-time Olympian if I go back to the Olympics." And people are like, "Yeah," you know what I mean? People are like, "Yeah, okay, I don't know what we're supposed to cheer for." And he's like, "I can go back to college, maybe a 3-time NCAA champion." And then everyone's like, "Boo!" Nobody wanted that. People were like, "Well, we can't boo like the Olympics. Like if you won another Olympic gold, we're not booing that. That'd be cool. You should go do that if you want to do that. And go back to college. That's stupid." And everybody booed that. And then he said, "Or I could stay here." And then right as he did that, Baron Corbin came out, and then Baron Corbin cut a promo about how he's been working his ass off for 8 years, and if anybody told him to jump, he said how high, and he did everything that he wanted to do, and everything that anybody told him to do or whatever. And now Gable's in his ring, so he says, "Go win an Olympic gold medal, go win an NCAA championship, but don't stay in NXT." And it was a decent promo from Baron Corbin. I won't lie. And then Gable Stevenson's like, "You just made my decision easier." And then he just picks him up and put him in a suplex. Didn't make we don't know that his decision is that he's not going to go to the Olympics. We don't know that his decision that he's not going to go back to college, but we do know that he's going to wrestle Baron Corbin at NXT, the Great American Bash, this Sunday in Austin, Texas. So there you go. I don't think this guy's got it. Whatever it is, he ain't got it, but I think he should probably go win Olympic gold. That'd be pretty cool for him, but I don't know. Maybe he doesn't think he's confident enough in that, and he doesn't want to go back to. I don't know. I would be stunned if he chose NXT over those two options, because NXT will always kind of be there maybe for him. But this guy should never talk again. This was not very good from him. But we'll see how he wrestles. We'll see on Sunday.
Ask me if I'm any closer to driving to Austin.
No.
Well, you have to ask, Rich.
Joe, are you any closer to driving to the HEB Center at Cedar Park to watch NXT, the Great American Bash, this Sunday?
I'm not, but maybe the next match will convince me.
Well, I think the next match will. A Weapons Wild match between Blair Davenport and Roxanne Perez. Now, the great story here is that 45 people have been attacked in NXT's parking lot over the last 7 years, and it was all Blair Davenport. So there you go. The former Bea Priestley, she attacked everybody, particularly the women. So she took out Nikita Lyons and Sol Ruka and all these other people that all have torn ACLs because they're all doing CrossFit and shit in the Performance Center. So they all blow up their shoulders and blow up their knees. So they're all injured, but they have to write them off TV by having them get attacked in the infamous NXT parking lot. And it's all because of Blair Davenport. And Roxanne Perez, I don't know. She's going to hit her with some weapons. So there we go. Weapons Wild.
Nothing exemplifies why I hate
Weapons Wild
NXT as much as a match called a Weapons Wild match. I mean, that just sums it all up. This is the most cornball bullshit wrestling humanly possible. I cannot fucking stand it.
You say that now, but when Roxanne Perez is laying in those kendo stick shots to Blair Davenport, I don't know.
Roxanne Perez is the second most annoying wrestler on planet Earth. And she's in a Weapons Wild match. Rich, I'm not only closer to driving to Austin this Sunday, I'm now driving in the opposite direction.
El Paso. You know what I mean? Gonna pack up the family and go to El Paso for the weekend. Just take it in.
I might just fly to New Jersey for the weekend and to get as far from this show. I genuinely don't want to watch this.
It looks pretty terrible.
Can we blow this off?
Sure. Oh, yes, we can. Absolutely.
I hate this. All of it.
Did you know on this week's NXT television, they had a Dana Brooke Cora Jade kendo stick match?
I'm sure it was great.
It was not that great, no. Did you see that Roxanne Perez said that the depression and anxiety that she dealt with wasn't a storyline? She hopes that she inspired people with her.
Here's the thing about that. I don't care.
Well, no, here's the thing. Also, she lost the match. So she gave up her title and then lost the match. So I don't know what she inspired, really, but okay.
Also, I don't care. I just don't care about her depression and anxiety. If I want to watch people go on and on about their depression and anxiety, I'll log into Twitter.
X.
Plenty of it.
X.
On
actually.
X.
On X. You'll see Zeets on X.
Just fucking wrestle.
It's like, but she lost the match. She came back and then lost. Yeah. So I don't know how inspiring that is. It's like, well, if you have depression, you're going to lose everything you had, and then you're going to come back and you're not going to be able to get back any of it back ever. It's like, oh, okay. I'm inspired now. Thank you.
I wish you well in your private life.
Of course,
I just want to watch you wrestle.
Yeah,
anyway. I don't care.
Anyway. All right, so you're not closer, you're farther away. How about
I'm
this?
now further away.
This is going to get you back. I'm positive of it.
All right.
Submission match for the NXT Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton.
Before you go any further, I'm sure we're going to get two experienced professional wrestlers who are well versed in the art of submission.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And are well equipped to have this kind of match, and are well equipped to nail the psychology.
Miko Satomura, so they have a ton of people there in that system.
So let me hear someone in the chat love to overcome depression and anxiety via a Weapons Wild match.
All right. Just
anyway, who's
beat
in this
people up with kendo
match?
sticks. Yeah, that's the way to get through. Tiffany Stratton, Daddy's Girl, and Thea Hale of Chase University.
Exactly the kind of talents I was hoping for, Rich.
Exactly.
Remember when I said that Roxanne Perez is my second most hated wrestler currently on planet Earth? Well, Thea Hale is first. I cannot fucking stand this human being. She is so annoying. There is no one more off-putting and annoying on television, period, not just wrestling, than Thea Hale. I don't know how anyone enjoys watching this person on the screen. I want someone to strangle her. I cannot stand her. And she's supposed to be a babyface.
Yeah, it's very loud. It's a quite.
It's just a cartoon. Like,
yes.
It's just...
She screams and she yells and she
makes dumb faces. She's basically probably going to main event WrestleMania one day.
I'm sure. Yeah, dumb faces, and screaming and being annoying.
And just an over the top caricature that makes dumb faces and doesn't resemble anything like a normal, just functioning human being, and is a one-note gimmick. Basically, she's the next Seth freaking Rollins, is what I'm getting at. She's going to be a massive star.
Yeah, huge star. She'll main event WrestleMania,
I am going to be cursed with her presence for the next 20 years. Is basically what I'm getting at. I fucking hate her. She is right up there with Bugsy McGraw.
Wow. Oh, she's in the Pantheon now.
She's in the Pantheon. Eugene, all the classics.
That's big.
Johnny Hungy,
Johnny,
all of them.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a big spot to be in.
You know, when Johnny Hungy is just in the ring wrestling, he's fine. Thea Hale has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. She is just completely off-putting and annoying in every sense of the word, no matter what she's doing. This is the future of wrestling, Rich. It's part of the reason I hate NXT, because it's a glimpse of what is to come. Because they won, and they're winning. And this is what connects with people. For some reason.
All right, can I get you back on track here? So you're far away, man. I don't know. You're in the ocean. You're in Hawaii at this point.
I can't be in the same room as Thea Hale. I can't do it.
Yeah, the same building.
Can't support
That's tough.
that.
That's tough.
I can't support that.
Okay. Let me try to get you here. All right. I'm going to get you to turn that car around a little bit to get to the HEB Center at Cedar Park.
Can I just get like Toshiaki Kawada versus Jun Akiyama? Can I just have that?
Nah, not quite, but what I can get you is WWE NXT Tag Team title match here. Gallus, Mark Coffey, and your boy Wolfgang defending the titles against the D'Angelo family, Channing Stacks Lorenzo and Tony D'Angelo. Now, this is a big moment. Now, are you up on your latest lore of NXT television? Do you know about Tony D'Angelo's dropped charges match? Or I'm sorry, Stacks was in the dropped charges match, I believe.
Right?
Tony was in jail, and Stacks was in a title match versus dropped charges match.
Right. Tony was in jail.
He got picked up by the authorities, is what they said.
Tony, 2 stacks of dimes. Channing Lorenzo was in the match, and I am currently pouring gasoline all over my body. Yes.
Right. So some DA somewhere said, somewhere this was floated that, hey, look, all right. Guilty or
they
not.
Never told us why he was in jail.
We're not sure. That's fine. Well, he's Italian, so I'm sure he did something illegal. You know, I think that's the idea. No, I'm saying that's the idea that they're giving you. I'm not saying me. I would never. I am not a man with any anti-Italian discrimination. You know me. Make sure Vinny Massaro knows that as well. No. NXT is telling you this guy's clearly in some shit. You know what I mean? He's Italian. He speaks kind of funny. You know he's done some stuff, is the implication. So the authorities picked him up, and then 2 Stacks did a match to win him back. And apparently this was, some judge or some DA thought that this was more than sufficient of, you know what, sure. If a man by the name of
That's how it works.
Channing Stacks Lorenzo wins this match,
dimes, Channing Lorenzo.
right? Then indeed we will allow you to be free from the crimes that you committed or whatever. So he's out, and now they're having a match this Sunday at the Great American Bash
with Gallus, the Badgers Nadgers.
I was on the Peacock the other day, and they have if you go onto like the wrestling section of the Peacock, there's the Best of Wolfgang. It's an ICW like the Best of Wolfgang compilation. Like shows up very high on my algorithm. I'm like, who's watching that? Like, did that need to get uploaded? Oh no, I'm sorry. It's on Fight. Sorry, it's on Fight. If you go on Fight, you go ICW the Best of Wolfgang. Who's buying that?
Yeah, I was like, Peacock. What are you talking about? Yeah,
who's buying that? Fight. Sorry, I don't know why I said Peacock. Who's buying that on Fight?
I'd be curious to know how many total buys.
The ICW the Best of Wolfgang has.
The Best of Wolfgang on Fight. Over under 3.5 buys.
Because his own family isn't going to watch. They've gotten.
No,
they got a DVD or something like that.
Even they don't want to watch it.
Right? They've gone to live shows or whatever. They'll support him live or whatever. But yeah, they're not sitting down at the couch being like, "Ooh, let's go back and watch his matches." Yeah.
Like I take my kid to Taekwondo. I'm not watching a highlight reel. I mean, it's got to be under 3.5.
for sure. Under for sure. For sure. All right, now I know what's going to get you. So has that moved you at all? You're not going. I don't think you're further west, but you haven't turned the car around just quite yet.
I really try to watch everything. I don't want to watch.
Let's not. Let's please not. NXT North American title triple threat match, Joe. I know you love triple threat matches, and boy, do I got one for you here. I got Wesley, the former NXT North American champion. I got Mustafa.
Can he just have a fucking singles match at some point?
No, he cannot. Him and
he's always in some match with 19 other people.
Him and the Impact Knockouts title can never be. Trey Miguel can never have a singles match. No, Wesley, Trey Miguel, and the Impact Knockouts must never have a. But anyway,
well, they do. They get all those Jordan Grace matches and shit like that. They get a lot of singles matches. Yeah. But anyway,
Wesley does not though. Wesley does not get that benefit. He's
Wesley.
So you got Wesley. You got Mustafa Ali coming from the main roster and. Hanging out in NXT again. Like, hey, how's it going? Mind if I wrestle you guys again? Remember that guy was going to win Money in the Bank, and then Vince told him, you're going to win, pal, but actually don't grab the briefcase. We got something planned. And then Brock Lesnar came out and beat them all up and won the briefcase. How good was that? How good was that?
It was great.
All week. Mustafa's like, oh, hell yeah, man. I'm winning that briefcase.
I'm going
to win Money in the Bank. He walks through the curtain. He's about ready. And they go, pal, come over here, pal. Don't grab the briefcase, please. Okay.
I would like.
We have a different plan. Oh, okay.
I would like Brock Lesnar to come out and destroy everybody in all of these matches on Sunday.
How do you not quit on the spot, man?
Weapons Wild.
Weapons Wild, yeah.
Weapons Wild.
Hey, he'll show you Weapons Wild. Anyway. Okay. It's Wesley. Mustafa
what are the odds in the Weapons Wild match that at some point they stop and cut promos on?
1,000%.
Is it 100%?
It's 100%, yeah.
Can I bet on that on mybookie.com?
Mybookie.ag is actually the well, actually, you know what? They don't sponsor us anymore. Mybookie.com, fuck them. They can sponsor us if they want to.
Hold on. Let me see if I can take
I don't feel like NXT is on there, but certainly look it up. Oh, hold on.
I'm sure it is.
NXT odds are up here.
Yeah.
It looks like you cannot bet. What is this? You got to get in on one of these things. The first two lines on my book. I wish we were doing a segment here. Do you see these lines? Have you gotten there yet? It's clearly they told somebody to get ready, like, hey, get ready for SummerSlam, so put some stuff in there for us to get ready on SummerSlam, and then he hit publish. Because the first three lines are SummerSlam plus 140 or SummerSlam minus 180. Okay, what am I betting on here?
Oh, I don't see that on mine.
You don't?
No.
If you go all the way to the bottom in wrestling NXT odds, you don't see at the top the three SummerSlam odds?
No, the first thing I can bet on, the first wager offered at the top of my page is Meta 4 versus Dragon Lee, Nathan Frazier, Leon, and Feroz.
Okay. Well, I'll show you what I see. I'll take a screenshot here. But it's letting me take action on SummerSlam versus SummerSlam. And then the next line is SummerSlam versus SummerSlam. And then the next line is SummerSlam versus SummerSlam.
What?
One of these SummerSlams is negative 100, so I might throw $10 on it, see what they'll do.
You're all glitched. Your thing is glitched.
Oh, but now it says Shayna. See, I'm telling you, someone's filling this out right now.
Oh yeah, they're updating the page right this
as it's going on because I clicked the minus 1,000 and that's Shayna Baszler.
Yep.
Actually, those aren't bad odds. Hold on a minute.
Who's she wrestling?
Ronda Rousey. But Rousey's done. This is her last thing.
Right. So minus 1,000 is kind of cheap. Oddly enough.
Yeah, I might throw. Oh, damn it. When you sign in, it all goes away. Shit. All right.
Well, let's see.
Well, that's fine. We had our fun there. Okay. All right. It's Wesley. It's Mustafa Ali. And Joe, I'm going to get you to care about this show because Dominic Mysterio is defending that NXT North American title. Poppy and Rhea Ripley, Mommy will be there. So I don't know if that's going to have you turning around. You're going to miss Poppy and Mommy?
You know what I love about this segment? I'm going to tell you what I love about this segment. The roles have been reversed. You used to hate these fucking WWE pay-per-view segments. and I would do that this artificial enthusiasm to try to get you into it, right? The roles are reversed. I now see how you felt.
But I finally switched. I went so deep into my psyche and in the pain that I've now come out the other side. But now you're there. So I don't know. What are we gonna do here?
Sneeze.
That was a hell of a sneeze. I don't think I've ever heard you sneeze before.
I've got the sniffles.
I know you're choked up about Dominic and his contributions to surging ratings.
Yeah, I mean, I will never care about Dominic.
Okay.
But a lot of people do.
A lot of people do.
This is the future of wrestling. This is why people keep asking me, Joe, are you okay? Your Dynamite reviews, you sound grumpy. The shows are good, and you're still angry. What's going on? Because I see the future.
And it's
This
mommy
is the
and
future
poppy.
of wrestling. Yeah, it's all over, man. Like the future of wrestling is very bleak. It's just the worst shit possible is what connects with audiences. Anyway, what's next?
The main event is next. NXT title match, Carmelo Hayes with Trick Williams, and that's important, defending the title against Ilya Dragunov. And I'll tell you, Joe, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes not seeing eye to eye these days.
Well, it's time to shit or get off the pot with Trick Williams.
Well, I think they are. And I'll tell you, man, you've always been on the Trick Williams side. They did a segment backstage that was Carmelo Hayes, Ilya Dragunov, and Trick Williams. And it's one of those things where you see Trick Williams in the room with those guys, and you're like, that's the dude
who
right
comes
there.
across like the biggest star.
That dude does. He's big. He's like a foot taller than everybody. He's yelling and screaming because he wants to get at Ilya Dragunov because he's pissed about Ilya Dragunov. And Carmelo's like, oh, man, we can't be doing that. We can't be fighting guys or whatever. And Trick Williams is like, man, I don't care. That guy, I want to beat his ass or whatever. And Carmelo Hayes is like, hey, I'm a champion. I have to conduct myself as a champion these days. And Trick's like, screw that. I don't need this shit. So it was good. It was like, you see that segment and you're like, yep, that's the guy. That's the dude. That's the guy that, like, I know what that company likes. And I know what people like, watching enough wrestling over the years. Trick's the guy. Trick's the dude. So if they, like you said, if they shouldn't get off the pot with him, it's going to be pretty obvious that he's the guy there in that team.
He's tall. He's telegenic. He's a good-looking fella. He can talk.
He's chiseled on granite, too.
He looks great. He has natural charisma where your eyes go to him, right? The question is can he work at an acceptable level? But here's the thing. It's never mattered less in this company. That has never mattered less than it does right now. I mean, Carmelo Hayes can go. He can work. He can wrestle. But he doesn't look like a star. And he carries himself in a star, but in that fake, inauthentic way. Like he's playing a role. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
He's playing a star. I am being a star professional wrestler. I wear suits and I have glasses. It's like he watched The Rock in 1998 and goes, aha, there it is. I need to do that. And it's like, well, I mean, The Rock did that because he's The Rock.
Trick just has the natural aura, but he doesn't, but he's just green. And, Carmelo Hayes was on the Indies for a number of years. And so like if I had to bet on one of them, I'd bet on Trick. But he also has Carmelo obviously has the much higher floor. Like Carmelo Hayes can go on the main roster right now and have a 7-year career on the main roster.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
His floor is much higher than Trick. Trick Williams may never get out of developmental, but I think if everything came together for Trick Williams, he has much more of a higher ceiling than Carmelo Hayes does.
Oh, way, way, way higher of a ceiling for sure.
It's the how can I put this without being rude? But Carmelo Hayes would be the choice of the like the casual observer who doesn't really. I'll put myself over here. I have an eye for this shit, and Trick Williams has the higher upside than Carmelo Hayes, and you really expose yourself if you think it's Hayes, is what I'm getting at. you're being fooled.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. No. I didn't always see it as much as you did, but I've certainly in the last few months. And then I saw this segment and I was like, oh my God, Trick's the guy. Like Trick is so clearly the guy here.
Trick, yeah. I mean, and look, I don't think he's any kind of lock at all. He is not good in the ring, at least the last time I saw him. I'm not studying Trick Williams tape, Rich, to be honest.
Believe it or not, yeah,
but
wild.
The last time, I've seen him on Level Up. I've seen him on NXT. I'm always like, man, this guy's got a ways to go. But it's never mattered less. All you have to do is be acceptable. Are there any more matches on this bullshit show?
That is it. Okay. And we will not review it next week on the show. I am not spending 1 second.
I really don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to watch it.
We're pretty dumb. We watch a lot of dumb shit for no reason.
Yeah.
But we do have to talk about NXT ratings real quick. Because we might think this is dumb, and we might think Dom and Mommy and Poppy and Freakin', these guys suck, and we hate them. But goddamn do viewers love this thing. The last few weeks of NXT ratings have been bonkers. July 25th, the show a couple days ago, 700,000 viewers, 703,000 viewers, 0.23 in the 18 to 49. That's the highest 18 to 49 since June 20th. And they've kept that momentum going for a while because June 20th, the date that was, and we'll go back to that one, June 20th, 773,000 viewers, just under 800,000 viewers, and a 0.23 in the demo. That was for Seth versus Braun Breaker, Freakin' versus Braun.
Yeah. And that quarter hour, and I think it might have even had an overrun, if I'm not mistaken, really lifted the number, but the number is what it is. But they just did another 0.23 this week.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, maybe it was a marathon and not a sprint.
Yeah, apologize to Paul.
They might. They're gonna catch Dynamite.
They might.
They have a legitimate chance.
They do, a very, very, very legitimate chance to catch Dynamite one of these weeks. And that is
so.
I can't believe we were doing the show a year ago. Never in a million years did I think that would be the case.
Yeah, they were doing 0.11s and
they were falling off the chart. Remember?
Yeah.
A couple of those weeks where people were like, I can't find them on this chart. Are they there? Did they make a mistake? And it was like, nope, we didn't make a mistake. They're not on this chart. So, yeah, and Dynamite this week did just under 900,000, which is a very good, total viewers.
There's still a gap. There's a sizable gap.
Yeah, we're being a little facetious here. We're being a little dramatic, but like the gap is closing a lot. You look at that graph that WrestleNomics does. It's getting closer. That line is getting a lot closer than it should be getting at any point. It just speaks to what you're saying. Mommy and Poppy and Freakin' and that stuff is drawing numbers. July 18th, 746,000 viewers and a 0.21 in the demo. July 11th, 671,000 viewers and a 0.20 in the demo. Now, they had a bad week July 4th because they had a show literally on the 4th of July. They still got 500,000 people watching that show. 508,000 viewers and a 0.13 in the demo. So it's like, yeah, that's a bad number, but it's on literally the 4th of July. So it's like, I don't know. I can't be too, crazy about that one or whatever. But then, yeah, June 27th, they did 622,000 and a 0.17 in the demo. So the last 3 weeks, they've done over 0.2 in the demo and either just above 700,000. 703,000, 746,000, and 671,000. Those are good numbers. Good numbers. And the whole idea here is that WWE has started putting main roster talent on the show. Yeah. And it's working. And it's obviously a plan to kind of buff up NXT ahead of a new TV deal. And it's working. So these guys are going to make a shit ton more money from this thing. NXT, which was on death's door 7 months ago, is now going to get another huge TV renewal because of this.
The total viewership is one thing. It's the demo numbers are what's impressive because, again, this show used to do like 0.11s, 0.12s, and it had the oldest like median viewership of any wrestling show. And younger people, and this has been a trend with all WWE programming as the bloodline is heated up, are really getting into WWE and watching their programming more, and that now includes NXT. It's not just the old 50-plus habit-watching WWE fan who's just going to watch anything WWE produces because he liked watching, Bob Backlund and Bruno. it's not just that guy anymore. It's, you know, it's people within the demo, and they're watching all of the shows. And I don't know. Yeah, NXT's doing great.
It's wild. Yeah.
I've never been more disconnected with what people like in pro wrestling than I am right now.
I kind of with you too, yeah. Because I got like these guys at work that always want to talk to me about like NXT and WWE or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to, and I don't want to be like that guy, the grumpy guy. But I'm just like,
you don't want to piss in their cornflakes.
I know, but he's like, hey, did you watch the Usos thing? And I'm like, no, I didn't watch the trial. And he's like, well, my wife loved it. I'm like, good for your wife, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I would be caught dead watching the trial of Roman Reigns, but like he couldn't wait on Monday. I walked in and he said, hey, did you watch the trial? I was like, no, come on. No, I didn't watch the trial. And then he was like, hey, you see that Dom's on NXT? And I was like, I know, no, no, I didn't watch it. Like it's wild, man. I don't know. Love it. Fun business this is. All right, before we bid adieu here, real quickly, G1 Climax, a little catch up here. So people that do not know, you are doing daily G1 audio over on our paywall, flagship patreon.com, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon, all on our $5 tier. Again, so make sure you subscribe there, flagshippatreon.com, to get daily G1 audio. So we're not going to belabor the point by talking too much G1, and I think that's better to talk about next week as we get a little bit closer to the final nights. We still got we got a little ways to go here, so we're okay. I think by next, let's see. You know,
the one thing I want to talk about is I really like this format and schedule from the standpoint of, you know, there's only two more. The guys in the A and B block only have two more matches.
Yeah, right.
And that means that there's only, if you look at the schedule, they have the show in Kagawa on Tuesday, which is an A and B block night. Okay. The C and D block have three more matches. So they have Aichi on Sunday and Hiroshima Sun Plaza on Wednesday, right? At that point, all of the blocks will just have one more block match left, meaning the next four shows are the block deciders, and they're single block shows. The doubleheader in Osaka at Bodymaker 1 is the A block the first night, the B block the second night, 4 matches each. And then the C block is in Yokohama Budokan, and the D block is in Shizuoka. Okay? It kind of like, and then the next show is the quarterfinals in Chiba before we go to Sumo Hall. It's like we're wrapping we're only on night 9, and we're already like wrapping things up in the blocks. So in effect, what this schedule has kind of done is eliminated the dog days.
Because we're in the dog days now, but we're really not.
We're not. It doesn't, like, the dog days, this schedule eliminates that. Because there's only 3 more shows before we get into the nitty-gritty. Because 4 shows from now is night 1 of the Osaka doubleheader with the A block finals, with the 4 final A block matches. And that's only night 13. It's like before you had to wait till like night 19 before you had matches that, you know what I mean? And it's like all those we'd be entering the dog day shows now. But what we're really entering is the important shit that's going to decide who moves on.
Right.
And then the quarterfinals and the playoffs, as Kevin Kelly calls them. So from that standpoint, I like the schedule more because by night 10, okay, we're already at the point where it's like, all right, we know how things are stacking up. We know what the advancement scenarios are, and we're already into the business end of the tournament by night 11. That rocks, you know, because you don't have those dire, all right, it's night 14 in fucking Takamatsu City Gym, and here's, you know, Bad Luck Fale's 8th mat.
Right, half these people are eliminated. I know these guys aren't moving forward. Like, what are we doing here?
So, from that standpoint, just when you're starting to get tired of watching 8 matches a night, there aren't 8 matches a night anymore. And now you only have to watch 4 matches a night once we hit Osaka. So, now that we've had a chance to digest this 32-man thing, and look, there's way too many people from the standpoint of there's too many shitty wrestlers. But if these blocks were a little more loaded, man, this would have been great. This would have been like perfect because you'd have more great matches. Plus, this schedule is a fucking breeze compared to previous years. And the thing about it is there isn't any less shows. It's just the format makes it easier to digest.
Right. It doesn't feel as daunting as it did. At this point, every year, it was like, oh, God, how many more?
Dude, we're on night 9. I feel like we're hitting the home stretch. You know, I did my review today. I'm like, geez, these guys have fucking 2 matches left. And we're not even at a single digits. We're not even on night 10. And there's guys that only have 2 matches left. So this thing, like, it makes it feel breezy getting through it. And they haven't even given us, and it's the same amount of shows. So my opinion is this format is a winner. And I'll tell you something else. These 20-minute time limits rule.
Oh, yeah.
Because they might be ruining, I won't say ruining. They might be putting a cap on some matches. Like, I don't think Will Ospreay and Okada had enough time to really tell the kind of story they wanted to tell and have the kind of, they weren't able to have the best possible Will Ospreay Kazuchika Okada match in under 20 minutes.
I agree. And some people can tailor really good matches to that time limit, and I think those guys are capable of it. But it just felt like
Okada can't.
It felt like they did the opening 5 minutes of an Okada match and then realized, fuck, we got to get going here, man. And then they just started doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, it had the beginnings of like Okada kind of lulling you in a little bit and doing his thing. And then it was like they made the 10-minute call, and then they were like, shit, all right, let's just do it. And then they just went and did shit for the last 10 minutes, you know? And it's a great match. That's a great match. But yeah, those guys have so many better matches in them and have had many better matches.
I think the time limit, the person who suffers the most is Okada because he really is, it takes him a while to get cooking in a big match. And 20 minutes is a little short for him. He is from the era of like 25, 30, even 40-minute main events. He's got to cram his whole story into under 20 minutes now. He's still had some great matches, but the flip side to that is nothing overstays its welcome in this tournament. And you never feel like, at least I have never felt like, oh my God, I have 3 matches left. Because they're all like 15 minutes.
Right. You know you can get through them all pretty quickly.
You know, it's so no matter how bad the first half of the card is, I know nothing is going to drag in the second half. They're going to get in and get out. If that means I have to sacrifice a quarter star off of some of the main events, I will take that trade-off. So now that we've got a large sample size, I am double thumbs up on this format. I really like it. The only, like I said, the only true downside is they don't have 32 guys good enough to be in this tournament. That's the problem. Tangaloa, any of the Haku kids, actually,
Yeah, you can have them all. I don't need any of them anymore.
And Chase Owens and all the guys, Yano, fucking Plunder Yano, which is what I'm calling Kenta now. Kenta is now Plunder Yano.
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
That's exactly what he is. Every match is like a new creative gimmicky thing, but it's Plunder. He's Plunder Yano. Like all those guys can fuck off. Like they don't have 32 guys good enough for this thing, but the format and the layout, like, and the 20-minute time limit. I mean, what they should consider doing is when you get to the playoffs, make it a 30-minute time limit again. It's only 4 matches anyway a night. And not even the it would just be the 4 quarterfinal matches, the 2 semis and the final. Make those 30-minute time limits and let these guys, stretch their legs.
Well, I know, aren't they? I thought they were opening it up more.
Are they doing that?
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't quote me on that. It's late in the night.
Yeah.
I don't recall. If they stretched it out later. And that might be a good move. If they didn't do that, that's probably the move to do for sure.
Yeah, I could live with that if they do that. That'd be fine because you want those matches to be as good as possible.
For sure. But the 20 minutes on the block matches, I'm fine with that. It does, like you said, it puts a ceiling on some of the you're not going to get like incredible all-time great, type of things like you could have gotten without Okada and Ospreay, but that's fine. Like I will take that trade-off to make most of the other tournament sustainable enough and not feel like it's long in the tooth, for sure, which has definitely been the case, because it feels like most matches are fitting into the, I don't know, the 10 to 15 minute mark or whatever, which is fine with me. So no, it's been I would say from last week I've liked this run a lot more. The last week has had a lot of really good shows. Some of the guys that I was really down on, I think, have turned the corner a little bit. Like, I think Gabe Kidd has turned his tournament around after being like, I don't want to see this guy ever again, and I'm skipping all of his matches. Like, he's turned his tournament around a little bit. I think all in all, I think the last couple of shows have been pretty damn good, with the last two shows really standing out to me as being great. I think night 7, I want to say, is night 8 is
night 5 and night 8. Wait a minute. When they get to the quarterfinals, doesn't it have to be no time limit, just like the New Japan Cup?
Oh, I guess that's, yeah, I guess you're right.
Because you can't have a draw.
Right. Oh yeah, duh, of course.
So that's what you were trying to think of. They didn't make it. There can't be a time limit, right? I mean, I could look that up, but that just makes sense.
No, because it's like time limit and nobody is the winner. Go home, both of you. Yeah.
No, yeah, you have to have winners.
Right.
So it'd be like New Japan Cup, where they put the little infinity symbol in the time limit thing. So yeah, night 5 and night 8 have been the best nights. I think that's pretty much been consensus. But think of it this way: when we do our show next Thursday, it's going to be the block final shows already, because they'll be in the middle of a break, and next weekend are the 2 Osaka shows, which is the A block and B block finals. This thing is flying by.
Yeah, it really is.
And yet it's the same time, but it feels like it's flying by. So, I love the format. For sure.
Definitely good format. And so as it stands right now, schedule block-wise, I should say here, you have, I'm just going to go over the top guys there. You got Sonata at A block. He's tops at 10. And then Kaito Kiyomiya, Shota Umino at 6 apiece, Gabe Kidd at 5. So those are effectively the only guys that are in the mix there. But the rest of...
Well, remember, it's 2 guys that advance. So...
Right, exactly. So it's like, you can't eliminate everybody, but Sonata's for sure moving on. And then some combination of, it's going to be Kaito Kiyomiya, if we're being honest here. But, Kaito Kiyomiya, Shota Umino, and I guess Gabe Kidd could find his way in there too. But it feels like effectively everybody else is pretty much done. Your Chase Owens, Hikuleos, Yotsutsuji's, Ren Naritas. So,
if you want, I would say this: if anybody wants super deep breakdowns of advancement scenarios, I get really in the weeds.
There, so go do that. We're not going to do that here. We don't have time for it.
Rich is going to do the common sense.
right. I'm going to do like, that guy ain't going there. Come on, but you're like, okay, Hikuleo has a chance here, and here's how. Yeah, it's like. I do always enjoy those. B block, Will and Okada at both at 8 apiece. Taichi's at 6. Yoshihashi's at 4. Phantasmo's at 4. Tangaloa's at 4. Kenta's at 4. Great Okan's at 2. Ospreay and Okada are moving forward, right?
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, that's. I'm just going to go with that. C block. Who the hell knows, man? Anything can happen in the C block at this point. David Finley's at 6. Evil's at 6. Tama Tonga's at 6. Eddie Kingston's at 4. Shingo Takagi's at 4. You made your call last week that Shingo could make a valiant run. And, he is not out of the mix yet either. But who knows what's going to happen in that C block. I probably would go Finley and Shingo, but I think that you can play around with that block a little bit too if you really wanted to. If you wanted to get cute and have Evil in there, that's fine too. I think Shingo and Finley's probably the play, but there's a few different ways you can go there.
They've got to go non-chalk with one of these quarterfinals.
Right. Eddie Kingston.
So, this seems like a block where you can do that, right? I mean, I think Finley's going to be one of them. But you can't just go chalk in every single block with both guys.
Right.
I guess you can.
You could. I guess Kaito Kiyomiya would technically not be quote unquote chalk, but I guess
he's chalk. That would be. That's an absolute slap in the face if they don't advance him. I mean, come on.
And then the D block, Jeff Cobb's at 8, Zack Sabre Jr. is at 6, Naito's at 4, Goto's at 4, Tanahashi's at 4, Shane Hayes is at 4, Coughlin's at 2, and Toru Yano's at 0. So we've pointed out that Naito and Tanahashi, of course, are facing off in that last night, so it's possible that Tanahashi plays spoiler for Naito. Yeah, I don't know. The D block is also similar in that I think there's probably 3 names you could probably realistically move forward. So
it's just which one are you going to leave out? That's
yeah.
all.
So Cobb feels like the one you leave out, but maybe he's your wild card that you put in there. You know what I mean?
He's gotten off to such a great start that you can see him falling apart at the end.
Right, and Zach and Naito be the guys that move forward or whatever. Yeah, that might be the one where if you're interested in doing somebody that's not chalk, Cobb and Naito move forward, and Sabre is on the outside looking in or whatever. Or Naito gets spoiled out of it. Here's something to look at too, though. On the final nights of the blocks, they're probably not going to do like turn around and do and do any potential like weird the quarterfinals. Is that who do you face in the quarterfinal? You face people from different blocks.
From
so
the
you would
opposite blocks, right?
Right.
So you do. It's the first place in one block and like the second place of some other.
Yeah, I can get the exact.
Let
me see if I can get the exact scenarios there. I used to have them in my head when we first were previewing these.
I have it right here. So it's A block first place and C block second place.
Okay.
B block first place and D block second place and so on. What I'm trying to say is you probably don't want to set up scenarios where you get a quick turnaround rematch in a semifinal. But I guess the way they're set up. Okay, so here's how they did it, though. I don't think you can face the person from your block until the final.
Right.
So you wouldn't have to worry about that anyway. If I'm understanding what I'm looking at properly. Like if the 2 people who come out of the A block would be on opposite sides of the tournament bracket and could only face each other in a final. And that holds true for all of the blocks. So, yeah, but the D block, it's going to be, you just leave one of those 3 out. I think Tanahashi will be in position of spoiler, not advancing.
Oh, no. I think Tanahashi is not. Yeah, he will at best spoil, but probably just be in position to spoil and maybe not do it. And then, yeah, he's not advancing. There's no way.
Yeah.
You can't put that guy. The state of him
but
right
we'll
now.
Have a clear. It's a perfect time to do a show next Thursday because all of the blocks will have the 1 match left. And we'll have the 4 block finals coming up, and we'll have a much clearer picture of what everyone needs to do to advance. So it's actually really good timing for us from that standpoint, because the final round robin night is Wednesday, and then they take 2 days off and don't come back until Saturday for the A block final. So Thursday is a perfect time because we can go over all 4 blocks and all of the various scenarios for everyone.
For sure. Yeah. Should work out perfectly. So, there you go. So that's next week, and we will talk about all that stuff next week. We'll maybe review NXT The Great American Bash. We'll talk about G1 scenarios. We'll talk about all the other stuff going on in the world. Maybe we'll find out some stuff about All In Wembley, but that'll happen next week on the Flagship. That is this episode. Of course, make sure you subscribe to us for additional bonus audio and written content at flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, and voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. Make sure you subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network on your podcast app of choice. Make sure you subscribe to the individual show feeds as well. We have our full on podcast network feed. But if you like any of the other shows on the network, which of course you do, you listen to these shows. They're all great shows. Make sure you listen to all of those additional shows and subscribe to them on your podcast app of choice as well. You can also subscribe to the Discord, or join our Discord, I should say, voicesofwrestling.com/Discord, if you want to join in on the conversation there. And we're on all these dumb social medias, but who really cares anymore? We're on X and Blue Sky and Threads and all these dumb things that nobody really cares about anymore. Facebook, we're always on Facebook. We've been on Facebook since day one. We're still on Facebook. So anyway, that's it for us. So that is Joe. I'm Rich. We will talk to you next time on the Flagship Podcast. Take care.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
Hola, my name is Ricardo. I am the host of the Lucha Jovers podcast here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. We are a Spanish-speaking show dedicated to discussing and analyzing pro wrestling from all across the world. From AEW to CMLL, we talk about American wrestling, Japanese wrestling, and of course, Lucha Libre. If something big happened in the pro wrestling world, we will talk about it. So if you know Spanish or have a friend that knows Spanish or want to practice your lucha libre pronunciations, go listen to the Lucha Jovers podcast right here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Nos vemos por ahí.